President Trump was almost assassinated last week, escaping death by mere inches. Conspiracy theories abound, and people have questions. What does this mean for the election, and what does this mean for the world? But this is not the first time this has happened. In U.S. history, 4 presidents have been shot, 2 others have been struck with bullets, and many, many more, basically all of them, have had legitimate attempts on their life. And today, we're going to go through every single one. We're going to explain all the conspiracies around them, who the assassins were, how it happened, how the lapses in security took place. We're going to talk about the aftermath, how it affected the country, how people responded, and ultimately, what this moment, right now, means for you as a citizen on this earth. Welcome to camp. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Camp. This is not the standard type of programming that we do. Today, I'm not talking to an expert, but rather I am the expert. That's right. This is Camp Rituals. That's what we're calling it. It's kind of a cool name. I don't know. We'll see if we keep it. But anyway, today I'm going to be explaining some of the most interesting, fascinating details of history and discussing some wild current events that are going on, as I'm sure you're aware of, to my dumbest friends. So this is one of them.
It's me.
This past week, some wild shit has happened.
Yep. Wild.
45th president of the United States,
Yep.
Former United States president.
Possibly 47th.
Possibly 47th, had an attempt on his life.
Yeah.
While in Pennsylvania. This is not the first time a U.S. president has been attempted to be assassinated. 4 U.S. presidents have been assassinated.
Wow.
2 of them, prior to a couple weeks ago, 2 of them have actually been shot, and Trump will be the 3rd one added to that list of shot but survived.
Crazy.
And we're going to go through all of that. And I also just want to say assassination attempts.
Yep.
It's almost impossible to actually talk about every assassination attempt. One, because I'd be willing to say this. I think every U.S. president that's ever existed has probably had an assassination attempt.
Yeah,
like even just going through the
that
list,
are like foiled or never made it far enough.
bro. There's a million. Like you go through the list and it's just like, oh, this person, like Obama has like 7.
Yeah, he got the White House got shot. Like he wasn't there.
You
but
just
like
never,
it's an attempt.
You never hear about it though.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It's out there. It is absolutely out there. So today we're going to be talking about obviously the actual assassinations and then all of the attempted assassinations where like a gun was present. And dude, it is wild.
Yeah, the real ones.
Let me just preface this by saying conspiracy has been at the heart of every attempted or successful assassination ever. Mm-hmm. From the early days. We're going to get into all that, which is wild. The through lines of every presidential assassination, you'd be shocked to know that like they all kind of intertwine.
I would imagine so.
From like Garfield to Lincoln, McKinley, JFK.
Yeah, like a crazy
Reagan,
guy who was like
Bush,
depressed probably. It's
beyond
like the through
that,
line.
there's
really?
actual through lines.
Oh, interesting.
And then furthermore, the aftermath of all the assassinations is actually very interesting because despite some of the assassinations being successful, which sucks, you know what I mean? That's a bummer, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like when people die. Do you?
No, me neither. I'd like to say that on camera.
On the record, I don't like that at all. Yeah. That bums me out. But sometimes positive things come out of it, which we'll discuss that as well. And the most recent one happened July 13th, 2024. I'm just going to kind of go through the beats. Obviously, everyone that's listening to this is aware of more or less what happened. And there's also so much speculation. By the time this comes out, the details will probably have changed.
Yeah, of course. We're going to be old immediately.
So, on July 13th, 2024, at a rally near Butler, Pennsylvania, Thomas Matthew Crooks shot at Trump with an AR-15 style rifle from a rooftop while Trump was giving a speech. It hit Trump in the ear and killed one attendee while critically injuring 2 others. Crooks was killed almost immediately after a shot by the Secret Service counter-assault team, which apparently that's disputed. It's not exactly sure who killed him, but that's kind of like the accepted story.
Yeah.
Some people are saying it was like local police. Some people are saying it was like Trump's people.
Well, a lot of people think it's the 2 that are like the photographed 2 that everyone knows about. But apparently it's the guys not photographed on the other.
It seems like it's disputed, okay? And right now there is an investigation underway. Now for Trump, this, again, like I was saying, every president's been attempted to be assassinated. Yeah. This is not Trump's first attempt. In 2016, someone tried to steal a gun off a cop at a Las Vegas rally.
Oh, yeah. I remember
that was like a whole thing. So that was like, you know, one of the more notable attempts. This one actually was, you know, somewhat successful and almost actually killed a former president, which is just like crazy.
Crazy how close it was to killing him.
It's truly insane. But this kid Crooks, this is basically what we kind of knew going into it, right?
Yeah.
He was like a decent student. He was like kind of quiet, and apparently he was bullied relentlessly.
Yeah, that's what one kid said.
Yeah, which the Wikipedia article is kind of rude to him. They're like, oh, he had body odor and he was wearing camouflage hunting outfits all the time. But apparently some people, this is one of the craziest things I've heard, some students allege that he tried out for the school rifle team.
Yeah.
But failed to try out because of poor aim.
And yeah.
Remarkably ironic. Another weird thing about him, apparently also on the rifle team thing, the Bethel School District said that there's no record of him trying out for the team. Convenient.
What is a rifle team?
I think it's a thing that like it happens in the middle of the country.
We had JROTC.
We just called it. Oh, I guess it was JROTC. We had ROTC too.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's both.
Don't know.
You do that for a while, and then I think, but apparently it doesn't even. It just makes you like a second sergeant or some shit. I don't know the details.
No clue, but I don't know what a rifle team is. But apparently failing it is hilarious.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You're rejected. This is like Hitler type shit. He's like, dude, I was supposed to be the greatest artist ever.
Yeah,
and they turned me down. That's kind of the through line. Also, if you get turned down, you get pissed off. So the other weird thing is that he appeared in a 30-second BlackRock advertisement, which like conspiracy people love to bring up.
Yeah, of course.
So like BlackRock obviously is like
this is like
giant like VC hedge fund thing that like controls the world.
Largest asset manager fund. They have the most like assets ever.
They're like behind all the houses. They're behind everything, and they have a marketing team, which is hilarious.
It's awesome.
I don't know why BlackRock's like, hey, we gotta boost our image.
Did you see it? What was he in?
So basically, they were doing like a profile on a teacher at the school where he was a student. So he's just in it. Yeah. And he's just like chilling in it. But it's just like, it's like perfect conspiracy fodder.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're talking about the giant thing that runs the world that everyone's like, oh, is that the Illuminati? Yeah. And then the kid that tries to kill the president is in the commercial. It's like, what are the odds? How many people do you know in BlackRock commercials?
None.
Basically zero, right? It's like remarkable that this kid is like now one of the most famous people ever for attempting to kill the president and is also happened to be in a BlackRock commercial. Just crazy. They apparently removed the ad from circulation out of respect for the victims, which is kind of, I don't know how. I'm sure the teacher's kind of pissed. Like,
where was it being shown? Like where?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
where is this? Like, I've never seen a BlackRock commercial myself.
Why? Like, where would it even be? Like Instagram, YouTube?
I have no clue. That's fascinating to hear, though.
Speaking of which, this show is actually brought to you by BlackRock.
Oh, dude, that'd be such
They're one of the sponsors. They're one of the sponsors of this episode. They're one of the greatest asset managers in the nation. And check them out, blackrock.com. Okay. And I'm now also featured in one of their commercials. Is it illegal to do commercials for a brand that's not?
I don't know.
Also sponsored by Heineken.
I was going to answer that like I knew what I was talking about.
And by Zyn. So it's all pretty crazy. They get his cell phone. And apparently he had like no mental illness prior to the event.
Okay.
There was like no record of anything.
Well, what does that mean? No mental, like, what does that really mean?
Yeah, I guess it's like also if you try to kill the president, like you probably have something going on. You know what I mean?
But just like, what does it mean? No mental illness before? Like, we can't ask him.
But I guess like there was no record of him going to a therapist. There was no record of him like telling his parents like, yeah, I'm going through something. Again, this is as of right now. This is as of right now.
Fine.
And apparently he was a member at a local shooting club for a year. The U.S. Department of Defense found that no history of military service. And
apparently he went there a lot.
Yeah. And apparently that's where he was going that day.
That's what his dad said.
That's where he said he was going.
Yeah, that's his dad's gun, I think.
Exactly. So on the day of the assassination attempt, Thomas Matthew Crooks borrowed his father's AR-15 style rifle, bought 50 rounds of ammunition from a gun store, purchased a 5-foot ladder before driving to the... Wait, what?
That's awesome.
What?
It's a very short ladder.
Yeah, 5 feet, right? Like,
not a very big ladder.
Right? But it's apparently it was like the roof was not that high.
Yeah, I saw the picture where it's like tucked in behind that tree.
And then I'm also assuming that he pulled the ladder up with him.
Nope. I think it's left there.
It was just left there?
I saw a photo where his body's laying and then like the ladder's just, it's behind a tree. It's in like a tiny little alcove where like a tree was planted. And then it's actually behind the tree. It's like really well hidden.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the timeline is extremely bizarre. There's actually a whole layout from ABC that like does the whole timeline.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the diagrams.
It's like insane how long he was on the roof.
Yeah.
So prior to 5:45, police officers saw Crooks on the ground acting suspicious.
Have you seen that video of him walking around?
I didn't see the video.
There's like a tiny like, and I don't know if it's him, honestly, like it's like 7 pixels, but like they're saying it's him. I think like New York Times or something reported it's him. And there's a cell phone video where like you can just see him sort of like wandering like outside of a fence.
And apparently they were tipped off early, 5:45.
Yeah.
Like, that's like remarkably, like, Trump didn't go on until 6:05.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's tipped off at like 5:45. Apparently he's like acting suspicious around like some of like their...
What, carrying a ladder is suspicious?
And a gun.
And a gun?
That's kind of suspicious.
No.
That's a little, to me, that's suspicious.
No.
If I saw it, I'd be like, oh, wait a second, this guy's being suspicious right now. And then the most suspicious thing, at 5:45, a member of the Beaver County Emergency Services, which, Beaver County, come on, guys.
Awesome.
Beaver County.
That's awesome.
So one of the Beavers was like, he basically saw Crooks on the roof and notified other security services and photographed Crooks. In one of the last two cases, is that the picture that we've seen?
The famous picture that everyone like sees where he sort of like turned to the side and you see his like face.
Bad jawline.
Yeah. Well, don't say that.
I know your jawline's way better than his.
I appreciate that.
By a mile.
I would take his.
Stop it, dude. No. His jawline is atrocious.
But yeah, that photo where he's like turned and you see like the underbite.
Yeah, the bulldog.
Yeah. That's apparently from a cop that day.
It was probably from this guy on the roof being like, hey, this guy's on a roof right now.
Which is crazy. He took a photo and not another, like...
He told people, he was like, yo, what?
Yo,
like,
do you think it got mixed up? They're like, yeah, I shot him. And he's like, oh, good, you shot him. And they're like...
I took a photograph.
Yeah, I shot him with my phone.
I should have been more clear. That's honestly my bad.
That could be where it all started.
Well, the craziest thing is he's on the roof with a large, like a laser rangefinder.
Yeah.
Literally like fucking...
Yeah.
Like binoculars. Scoping out the roof in camo pants. So they basically... That's at 5:45.
I wonder if they thought he was like plainclothes officer or something.
I couldn't...
I can't imagine they did, but I'm like...
And apparently the building that he was on was like the Secret Service like command center.
Yeah, it was the command center, I think, for the other branches, not the Secret Service, but for like the local military or local police and SWAT teams and stuff.
Gotcha. And then also I heard that like a lot of like the local police were like super hot walking around in the sun in PA that day.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, we're going to kind of chill inside because it's air conditioned.
It makes sense.
I had heard that. Again, I don't know if that's the case, but it's crazy.
I don't blame them.
So this is the timeline.
What's the worst that could happen?
Right? What could happen? This is the timeline given by ABC. At 5:30, he's spotted with a rangefinder. At 5:52, Secret Service spot the gunman on the roof.
Okay.
At 6:05, Trump goes on stage.
I wonder when the timeline of like when those people are saying he's on the roof, like that lady.
I think that's right before.
Okay.
So 6:05, Trump's on the roof. At 6:09,
No, he's on stage. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Wait, Trump's not on the roof.
That'd be awesome.
That would be crazy. He's just on a different roof. He's like, dude, they already have a stage here. This is perfect. I'll just go up there. No, 6:05, he goes on stage. And then 6:09, the sniper team point in the direction of the gunman. So they already have him in the sights.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the sniper team's like, can we take him out?
Apparently the sniper team that's the one we're seeing in all the photos doesn't have a clear shot. There's a tree between him.
I heard the tree thing.
Yeah.
And then furthermore, I'm also like, okay, do they see the weapon? Like the roof is sloped. So they're like, okay, can we see the weapon or not?
Yeah, and you don't want to like shoot a kid.
Dude, imagine it's like some little immigrant kid that's like trying to watch his hero. And
yeah,
then kill him.
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like super high
It's like
stakes.
a 9-year-old who's like, dude, I really love Trump. I couldn't get in.
I jumped on the roof and I was trying to peek. Like,
Yeah.
unless you see the weapon. And again, I don't know.
In a weird way, if it was a 9-year-old that was trying to watch Trump and he's like a huge Trump fan, it's like Americana cute.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But then you kill the kid and it's like, oh, you lose the election. So that's like high stakes.
That's true. I don't think about it that way.
That's insane stakes.
Yeah.
So I can't tell if when they see the weapon. That's the thing that's like not clear to me through any of this stuff. And I don't know if anyone knows the answer to that. Like he's walking around with the rangefinder, but I don't know if he has the weapon like with him on the roof, if they can see it, if it's in like a bag, if it's under him. I don't know what the deal is. But at 6:09, they point the snipers at the gunman.
Yeah.
And that's around the time that people start like yelling. At 6:10, that's when police kind of get involved. And right around that time, so
I love the woman that's going, he's on the roof. He's got a gun.
And the cops are like, wait, like a gun? Like they're like asking. It's like, dude, just go look. So eventually 2 cops go to like investigate.
Apparently one hoisted the other one up.
Yeah, which is kind of Looney Tunes. It's
really
a little
cute.
Looney Tunes.
All right, I'm going to put my hands together.
And
you step
literally,
inside
like,
of him.
Hoisted him.
Yeah.
And he pokes his head up on the roof and then Crooks points the gun at him.
And do you think he ducked or do you think he was, let me down, let me down?
I think he goes, what the fuck? And backflips. Yeah. And apparently he breaks his ankle. He like,
oh, wow.
He jumps off the roof, breaks his ankle, and he's like, oh shit. And then it was like seconds later that he fired 8 shots into the rally.
Wow.
Hitting Trump in the ear.
Bro, if you see a cop in Pennsylvania right now that's walking around on crutches,
Yo, just
You
be
got
like,
you got to talk to that man.
right? Just like give him a salute. People are blaming that cop though. I don't blame him.
No, I mean, like, I don't blame him for like the human response of dropping down when a gun is pointed at you. Like you're signed up for like overtime. You're protecting the president, quote unquote. But you're like, okay, in the line of command, I am literally the bottom, and I'm here for like making sure people don't go through the exit through the entrance.
Maybe
Like,
he should have gone up there with his gun like ready.
yeah, I'm saying like I imagine if you're a cop at one of these, you're basically so low on the totem pole of things that you're like,
guess.
I'll look up here, whatever. I also think that like it's really easy to hero think. Like I would fucking be up there and fucking.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, of course.
I would have gone out there and talked to him.
Both.
I would have talked to him, and be like, "Hey, man, it's not
Talked him
worth it.
down.
It's not worth it."
That's smart.
And then he would have converted,
Oh, nice.
and he would have gone on the rallies.
I bet he was Christian.
That's what I would have done.
Oh, convert. I get you saying.
Not say Christian. He was probably a Christian. I'll be honest.
You could have prophesized to him.
I would have talked to him about Jesus if I was up there. But he fires 8 shots in the crowd, hitting Trump. 2 other shots hit people, and then one of the shots kills a fire chief, which is like so tragic. He was like protecting his family. And then immediately after the shots rang out, the Secret Service snipers shot back and killed him.
Yeah.
Trump gets hit in the ear, goes down. And then
Wild. I mean, getting hit in the ear is the most insane thing in the world.
looking at a chart.
It's the craziest. It's unbelievable. If it was written in a book,
Plot
you'd be
armor.
like, I'd hate this book, dude.
I'd put it down. I'd be like, there's no way this could happen.
Yeah.
What's crazy though is that, as we'll learn in a little bit, there's been other things like this where you're like, oh, there's no way.
Yeah, of course.
We're gonna talk about a couple. You're gonna be like, that really happened, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. So all that to say, basically, Trump goes down. He loses his shoes. According to the Secret Service agent, he says, like, apparently Trump said this. I don't know if this is true. He says, he hit me so hard my shoes fell off.
Yeah, I heard that. Do
Which
you hear when the first you can hear the Secret Service be like, the shooter's down, the shooter's down. And then on the mic you hear Trump go, wait.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Which I will say, of all of the assassination attempts, I think this is the coolest one. Teddy Roosevelt is
Most
close.
heroic.
Teddy
for
Roosevelt
sure.
is close. We'll talk about it. But
Standing
like,
up and being like,
fight with the hand. Like, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. You got to be like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, they also don't know that. Like, I think they're telling Secret Service, like, oh, shoot her down. But like, he doesn't know. He's sticking his head up, going fight.
That's fire.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like the most unbelievable.
Once again, if it was in a book, I'd be like, oh, God.
Oh, really? Okay. So they end up looking into like crooks after the fact, after he gets killed.
Yeah.
So this is what's weird. It's January 20th, when he's 17, he donates to Act Blue, like a voter turnout group, $15. And then in September of 2021, that same year, he's a registered Republican.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the other way around. I was like, oh, he's a Republican and then went Democrat and then got mad at Trump.
No, he would have been 17 when he donated.
But it's flipped. So
Yeah.
it's like he supported Act Blue, then went Republican. Maybe like social pressure. I don't know. But that's just like a very bizarre piece of this whole thing to me.
It's not the most bizarre thing he did, though.
Wait, what do you mean?
Just
I guess, okay, that's the second most bizarre. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess trying to kill the president is the most bizarre. But then his search history is wild. So like they go through his phone, and apparently that day he was like looking up images of like Trump and Biden, and like trying to find like the rally stuff. He was like looking up the Democratic National Convention. He was looking up like all sorts of like weird political stuff. And then this is the most wild thing. I didn't know this until I started researching it. He posted on Steam, the gaming platform. Apparently, again, this has not been confirmed necessarily. This is just pulled from an article I read. July 13th will be my premiere. Watch as it unfolds. Apparently, it seems like he's looking for infamy.
also posting on Steam is the weirdest place to get infamy.
But yeah, it apparently doesn't have any other social media. Like apparently he had a Discord.
Yeah, it got taken down because
But,
of
like-
inactivity.
Like it's crazy to be a 20-year-old without any other like digital footprint.
Yeah, it's also I mean, I guess if you do enough, I guess if you're one of these people that are like doing research on all killers and things like that, shooters, assassins, whatever, you probably know that they're gonna find what you've posted.
Yeah.
And Steam is one where you're not gonna get like flagged by the FBI beforehand.
Maybe. I can't even imagine he's thinking
That's
about that.
not an advertisement.
Maybe he's
of
thinking
how to handle it.
Maybe he's thinking about it. I don't know. But that all goes down. Trump ends up recovering, fortunately. I mean, I don't want any president to get killed. You know what I mean? So, like, I think it's a good thing, obviously. And something good actually comes out of this. So RFK Jr., when he came up flagrant, he said that he didn't have any Secret Service protection.
Yeah.
2 days after this event, he was granted approval for Secret Service protection.
That's not good.
Wait, why?
You saw what happened with Secret Service protection.
Yeah, but this is actually another thing that is interesting. Someone told me that like rural towns are actually harder to detail. Like,
really?
Because when you're in New York City or like Chicago, LA, Miami might have like the highest profile like SWAT teams and like snipers.
Got it.
But you go to like a more rural town, you're having to rely a lot. Obviously, you bring your own people.
Beaver County Police.
Go to Beaver County Police. You know, shout out to the Beaver Boys. But like, you're dealing with not necessarily the same echelon as New York City snipers.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So apparently, when you're in these more rural spots, it's actually a lot harder to secure.
Yeah.
Someone had told me that. I don't know if that's true, but we should.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I'm gonna fully believe it.
His post on Steam is really interesting, and like the infamy angle is remarkable. Apparently, he wanted fame, I think is fair to say, which that's important to recognize because basically every assassin in United States history either was politically motivated or crazy delusional and wanted fame. Sometimes both. I mean, there are conspiracies that go both ways on this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Obviously, people on the left are like I think when it happened, like in the hours after, like Staged was the #2 ranking search on Twitter.
I mean, truly, I thought it was like a BB gun or like an airsoft pellet.
I first thought it was a BB because it sounds not like a gun.
Yeah, it's like.
But so people are like, oh, it's staged. The blood is fake. There's crisis actors.
Oh yeah, I saw all that. The blood's fake.
And that's
your
like
ear bleeds more than da da da. Like
the left side, and then kind of the right side is like, oh, this was set up by this, CIA, as we'll get into. This is not the first time people have suspected that. Or like, oh, the Secret Service was in on it. This was just made by Hillary. Who knows? Right. So those are like, this conspiracies go both ways, which I think is actually the first time I've seen, based on my research, that like both sides kind of pick up a conspiracy. Typically, it's like one side will run with the narrative and be like, no, this is, what they're saying is true.
I think this is a new normal.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I think this is one of the first times that like it's kind of been like bipartisan conspiratorship.
It's fun.
Wild. But not the first time it's happened.
Yep.
January 30th, 1835, the first presidential assassination attempt. Now, again, let me couch this in saying I don't think Andrew Jackson was the first president they tried to kill. Okay? Like George Washington was in a war. You know what I'm saying? Like people were trying to kill him too, for sure. Again, I'm going through kind of like the big ones that actually like, actually made a dent, so to speak. So, January 30th, 1835, Andrew Jackson becomes the first president to experience assassination attempt. This one is wild. Andrew Jackson is a wild motherfucker. And again, the parallels and the tie-ins with this, the thing that I love about looking at history is that you can kind of get a prediction for like what will happen. Mm-hmm. As like the old saying goes, like history, doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Oh.
And it's like you can kind of look at history and get like a sense for like, oh, this happened after this happened after this, and the parallels and tie-ins are like kind of weird.
Oh, interesting.
So, Andrew Jackson, 1835. Richard Lawrence is an unemployed house painter. He's living a pretty regular life. His life is actually pretty good. Like he's just a normal guy painting houses. What's interesting, Miles? Let me ask you this question: what is in the paint that they're painting these houses with at that time?
Probably lead.
And what does constant lead exposure cause someone to do?
Makes you loony.
Makes you crazy.
Yeah.
So this is wild. So this guy, Richard Lawrence, he's doing his thing. All of a sudden, after like 40 years of painting houses, he starts to lose his mind.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Literally is losing his mind.
Yeah.
So much so that at one point he quit working. And his sister and brother-in-law were like, hey, you're not painting houses anymore? He's like, no. I actually fell into a lot of money.
Oh, fire.
And they're like, oh, where'd the money come from? And they go, I'm owed a lot of money, one by the U.S. government.
Yeah, me too.
I'm also owed a lot of money by Richard III of England. He owes me 2 large estates in England. Oh. I looked up Richard III. He was the king of England in the 1400s. This is 400 years later.
I believe this guy.
You're on his side.
I'm on his side, actually.
Well, let's see. Okay, so he claims that he's owed a large sum of money. Okay. And he believes that Andrew Jackson's opposition to the second bank of the United States, he's basically trying to destroy the Fed, right? He doesn't want a central bank.
Got it.
And he believes that Andrew Jackson's attempt to try to destroy the central bank is going to stop him from getting money. But Vice President Martin Van Buren, if he's president, would establish a national bank and allow Congress to pay him the money for his English estate claims.
Oh, this is awesome.
This is what Richard Lawrence, the defamed house painter, believes.
All painters are drunks, and this just proves it, that it's a historical fact.
There you go. So he basically pulls up on Jackson after he left a congressional funeral and pulls out. This is again, one of those moments where it's like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
He pulls out a pistol, all right, like a little revolver, and pulls it up to Jackson and shoots him. The gun jams.
Yeah, I've heard this.
He goes, fuck. Throws the gun away. Pulls out another gun.
Yep.
What does that gun do?
Jams.
Also jams. 2 guns jam at the same time. Like there was a research that went into this. He was like, it's a 1 in like a million chance. So his gun jams, and then Andrew Jackson, whatever you want to say about him, what he did right here is fucking baller.
Okay.
He starts beating the shit out of him with a cane.
Oh, that's great.
The Secret Service are like, not Secret Service, they don't have it at the time, but like his aides and like people around try to tackle the guy. And Andrew Jackson goes, no, let me have him myself.
Great.
And beats the shit out of him with a cane.
That's awesome.
Other people jump in and they also start going crazy on him. And he's like pissed off. Andrew Jackson is like reasonably distraught from the event. He's like annoyed and, paranoid furthermore. Apparently, the guns jammed because of high humidity at the time.
Where was this?
I think it was in D.C. I gotta check.
Swampy.
Yeah. So apparently, it was out of the, it was outside.
Congressional, that makes sense.
Outside the Capitol building, I think.
Yeah.
And so the guns jam because of the humidity. Andrew Jackson beats the shit out of him. And that's basically how it goes down.
I mean, that's awesome.
What's crazy is that Andrew Jackson.
That one's cooler. No, I'm already putting it above Trump. Sorry, Trump.
Andrew Jackson was suspicious that this was not a random crazy guy that got paint poisoning. He believes that it was an organized hit by Van Buren and a couple other people within Congress at the time to take him out because of his opposition to 1, Freemasons, and 2, the central bank. He's like a big anti-Freemason guy. It was like, I don't want a government inside our government, and it was like trying to eradicate them. And he was like, people are trying to kill me for that. Pretty crazy.
That's 1 now officially. Trump 2.
Well, we're going to keep going. What's crazy is this motherfucker goes to trial. Richard Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
He's crazy in trial. He's like going off. He's prosecuted by none other than Francis Scott Key.
Oh, yeah.
The guy that wrote the national anthem.
Nice.
And so he's in court just wilding out. He's like literally crazy in court.
It's crazy back then that there was only so many people that they did multiple things.
That's all of American history.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's other shit in here that I don't even have written down.
Yeah.
Where like Francis Scott Key's son murdered a guy and then got acquitted because a different attorney that defended someone else that assassinated. Like, it's like all the same 8 people. There's only like 8 people in
There was
America.
only 10 at the time.
It's insane. So he in court stands up, again, after trying to kill Andrew Jackson, stands up in court and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is for me to pass judgment on you and not you upon me." Just talking his shit.
I like this guy.
The jury deliberates for a whopping 5 minutes and find him guilty of attempted assassination. Again, conspiracy rang out. This is like the first time that, given a presidential assassination, that conspiracy is rife. This is 1835. Jackson was convinced that John C. Calhoun and Senator George Poindexter of Mississippi tried to take him out.
Okay.
What's crazy is there's actual repercussions. Poindexter loses the re-election in Mississippi because of the accusations.
Huh.
So he was like, I didn't do anything. But apparently the guy that was painting houses, Richard Lawrence, painted George Poindexter's house like 3 weeks before.
Love that.
And he was like, oh, he painted your house and you told him to kill me. Duh.
Yeah, BlackRock commercial.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's all connected.
I get it.
And furthermore, what's crazy is that Trump...
Imagine losing because you're like, we hired a guy to paint the house.
I'd be not senator anymore. I'd be pissed.
Oh, God.
So how does this tie into Trump? I'll tell you right now. Apparently, Andrew Jackson was one of Trump's favorite presidents.
Okay.
In the Oval Office, there's a giant portrait of Andrew Jackson that Trump put up. So again, this is from an article I pulled up. During a town hall event in April, Trump said that Andrew Jackson had, quote, a great history. While giving a host a tour, he showed them the portrait of Jackson, and he said, quote, they say his campaign and his whole thing was most like mine.
All right. That's cool.
Andrew Jackson was like trying to get, immigrants out of here. He had the whole like Indian Repatriation Act or whatever, Indian Removal Act.
It's crazy. I know nothing about him.
There's some overlap. It's pretty crazy. So that was the first one. Andrew Jackson beat the shit out of him.
What was the guy's name?
Richard Lawrence.
Okay.
That was the guy. Fast forward 28 years. You ever heard of Abraham Lincoln?
Heard of the guy.
This shit is even crazier.
Okay.
Like, how deep does this go? Okay. So again, everyone kind of knows the main story, right? John Wilkes Booth goes into the Ford's Theater and assassinates Abraham Lincoln. But that's not the whole thing. That's not where it starts. Booth, which a lot of people know, was an actor, but I didn't realize how famous he was.
Yeah.
So he's born into an acting family. This is such a weird little coincidence. His father is named Junius Brutus Booth.
Nice.
Have you ever heard that name?
Yeah, Et Bruta.
That is the name of Caesar's assassin.
Fire.
What are the odds that his dad is named after the guy that killed Caesar?
Name sort of dictates what you do.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so he basically is born into this family. Him and his two brothers are all like pretty famous actors. Edwin Booth, who we're going to talk about a little bit. He was known for being a scene stealer. Like he wasn't as talented of an actor, apparently, John Wilkes Booth, but he was much more like energetic and animated. So he would like steal scenes and go on and just like really like flex on people. Another poignant little piece of him and his acting career. He performed in 83 plays in 1858. And Booth said in his diary, of all the Shakespearean characters, his favorite role was Brutus, the slayer of tyrants.
Nice.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
It gets even weirder because our boy, Abraham Lincoln, saw John Wilkes Booth perform. He saw him at the Ford's Theater where he would later be assassinated.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's such a famous actor at the time. Yeah. Like, it's kind of crazy to even, like, think about how famous he was. I'll make a parallel in a second.
Yeah.
But he's doing a play, and during the play, John Wilkes Booth is on stage, and during one of the lines of dialogue, he points at the booth where Abraham Lincoln will eventually get assassinated and delivers one of the lines of dialogue at Lincoln. Lincoln's, like, I think it was, like, his sister-in-law or something. Yeah, his sister-in-law leans over and goes, "Hey, Mr. President, it looks as if he meant that for you." And Lincoln replies, "He does look pretty sharp to he does look pretty sharp at
You got this.
He does look pretty sharp at me, doesn't he?" Like he kind of acknowledges like, "Yo, this guy was."
But also, if you're performing in front of a president, you got to ham it up for him.
Well, let me kind of couch this also by saying he was at this time a known Confederate sympathizer.
Okay.
He hated Lincoln. There's even been like multiple times where like Lincoln tried to like invite him him to the booth, like in between acts, like, "Oh, I'd love to meet that guy. That actor is like, you know, so amazing. I'd love to shake his hand." And Booth was like, "Nah, I'm good." And like waved him off. Crazy. So apparently Lincoln's son Tad saw Booth perform and was like so thrilled by him that Booth gave Tad a rose. And then Booth ignored Lincoln's invitation to the booth or to the, you know, little balcony thing that same night. This even ties into New York City today. There's a statue of Shakespeare in Central Park to this day that was paid for by a production of Julius Caesar starring the father Booth and two of the sons, John Wilkes Booth and Edwin Booth. Huh. Paid for by the production. That's still in Central Park. There's actually a theater named after Edwin Booth, the brother of John Wilkes Booth.
Weird.
The Booth Theater. And the Players. Have you heard of like the Players? Yeah. That was created by Edwin Booth. Huh. Crazy, right? So it's worth acknowledging at the time, they're from Maryland, and Maryland during the Confederate War was kind of split. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the state in general, you had some Confederate sympathizers and then some Unionists that were like, you know, abolished, you know,
Weirdly
slavery.
shaped state, makes sense.
Right? So there was all this like strife, and the family was like a perfect, almost like parallel for all the strife. So John Wilkes Booth was like a staunch Confederate sympathizer, so much so that he went on to, you know, kill the president. And then his brother Edwin Booth was like a Union soldier. Yeah. He was like down with the Union cause, and they ended up having a falling out. So family's divided. He's like super staunch on it. Edwin Booth, one of the actors in the family, he doesn't perform in the South anymore. He's like, "I'm not going there."
Oh, cool.
John Wilkes Booth is like, "Oh, I'm going." Not only does he go, he brings malaria medication, quinine. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
He brings quinine on the train, smuggles it into the South to give it to people in like the Gulf Coast region that are suffering from malaria because of the blockades from trade being stopped.
Interesting. Okay.
So he's like actively aiding the Confederate war effort. He doesn't actually fight though. Booth was like too vain and like too narcissistic, and he kind of like uses his acting things. I tried to find exact data on that. I couldn't find it, but he basically like doesn't fight and doesn't want to get involved. So he gets arrested before he actually does anything. He's in St. Louis, and he basically says, "I wish the president and the whole damn government would go to hell." And that's treasonous. So they arrest him, and they're like, "Yo, what'd you say?" And he's like, "Nothing." And he basically has to pay a fine and then take an oath of allegiance to the Union. And they're like, "All right, he didn't mean it."
That's awesome.
I mean, he was just goofing around. He's an actor. You know, these people are dumb. So he begins plans initially to kidnap Lincoln. So this is like his whole thing. Basically, he's going to kidnap Lincoln from a summer residence at Soldier's Home, Old Soldier Home, 3 miles from the White House. He's going to smuggle him into Virginia. Once he's in Virginia, he's going to be able to use Lincoln as like leverage. He's either going to use him as like a trade for like Confederate Army prisoners and like generals that have been captured in the North.
Okay.
He's going to try to basically use that as leverage to end the war by emboldening opposition to the war in the North, or in kind of like forcing the Union recognition of the Confederate government.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like, we're going to take Lincoln and we're going to have so much leverage, we're going to be like, yo, we're going to kill this guy unless you guys just acknowledge that we are a legit government and leave us alone.
Imagine trying to kidnap someone who's like 6'5".
He's huge. Yeah. He's a massive guy. He's so tall that actually when he got killed, they put him on the gurney and they couldn't even put him straight up.
That's like trying to like...
He was like at an angle.
That's wild.
Crazy,
It's like
right?
trying to kidnap LeBron.
Yeah, it's like...
I'll make it happen.
He's so tall.
Yeah.
So he finds out about like a play that he's going to go to, and they have this whole plan to kidnap him. He gets all these co-conspirators, and he's like deep in like the Confederate sympathizer community in like New York City, and he's like really into it, and like all the Northeast. He's like knows all the guys. And he's basically, all right, we're going to kidnap him. And then Lincoln doesn't show up. So he's like, fuck. Can't kidnap him.
How old is he when he's doing all this?
25, 26.
Okay, young.
Young guy.
Yeah.
All the fame in the world, all the money.
Crazy.
Born into the best family ever. Throws it all away. And he even acknowledges that in a letter that he writes to his sister that we'll get to. So, Robert E. Lee surrenders. It's basically the end of the war.
Yeah.
A couple days go by. D.C. is like buzzing. Everyone's so happy. Like, yo, we did it. Lincoln's our hero. Life is great. The war is done. There's like little rogue factions still fighting.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with Robert E. Lee surrendering is that now the kidnapping plot has no leverage.
Yeah.
So John Wilkes Booth is like, we're going to kidnap him for what?
Yeah.
So he's basically like, fuck it. We're going to kill him. We're going to kill everyone else basically like in the Union government. We're going to take out all the heads.
Okay.
And once we kill all of them, then there's not going to be any Union government, and all the rest of the Confederates like Robert E. Lee and all them, they're going to basically resurge, and then we're going to have our own nation.
Okay.
That's now the plan. So basically, he finds out, he goes and gets his mail from Booth's theater, where all his mail is sent, and he talks to one of the people at the theater, and they're like, yeah, Lincoln's going to be here tonight. And he was like, oh shit, game time. Huh. So he tells like a bunch of people that are in like sort of the inner circle of like Confederate sympathizers. This guy Powell, Harold, and Atzerodt. And he basically tells them of the plan. So he assigns all of them different people to kill. So one of the people that Powell has to kill is Secretary of State William H. Seward, and Atzerodt has to kill Vice President Andrew Johnson. And then Harold is going to be like his escape guy that's going to help him get out of town. That's the plan. So the theater's packed. They're going to see a play. It's called My American Cousin. It's like a comedy, like a culture clash comedy of like this like sort of aristocratic, stuffy family in England going to see like their American cousin that's like wild and fucking, goofballs. Okay. Apparently it's super funny at the time. Yeah. I don't know. The theater's packed with like soldiers, military personnel. It's like wall to wall. The president's in the building. Like the vibe is like crazy.
Fire. Okay.
John Wilkes Booth knows exactly what act they're in. He knows exactly what line is coming up. Again, I think he's done this play before, so he knows exactly what's going on. He walks in, everyone goes, "Oh, John Wilkes Booth is here. Obviously one of the most famous actors in the world. This guy tours around the country, makes tons of money. Welcome back to the theater where you get your mail." He's like welcomed. He walks in around 10 o'clock, opens the door. Again, no real like military protection. Yeah. Opens the door, walks right up behind Lincoln, shoots him in the head. One of the guys, an actual like military general, is in the balcony with him. Mm-hmm. He lunges for him, and then he takes out a dagger and stabs that guy. So that guy gets stabbed, collateral. Jumps on the stage, holds up the dagger, and yells, "Sic temper tyrannus," which basically is Latin for like, "thus always the tyrants." What's wild is that this line actually has like 3 different meanings for Booth. That's what Brutus says at Caesar's assassination. Yeah. Again, a play that he's done hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. It's the state motto of Virginia where he's going to escape to. Okay. It's also mentioned in Maryland, My Maryland, the future anthem of John Wilkes Booth's home state. Huh. So it has like all of these like this triple meanings. It's crazy. So he's waiting for this big laugh to happen in the show. Yeah. And once the big laugh happens, he creeps in, shoots him in the head, stabs the guy, and then jumps on stage. And he's on stage and he yells the thing and then runs off. And everyone in the crowd is like, oh, this must be like a part of the show. Yeah. They think like because the president's in the building, they're like gonna...
Did he kill him during the laugh?
Yeah.
Oh, so he died laughing. Sort of nice.
That's kind of nice, right? Yeah. That's a little respectful. I gotta look at what the line was. I gotta see like what the actual bar was that made him die.
Good he died laughing.
Right. Yeah. It's like, and technically I don't think he even died there. I think he like slowly bled out and
All right. Never mind.
Saw his wife. And
I take it all back.
just died. You're a sicko. You're a fucking
I
bad
take
guy.
it all back.
So he runs on stage, does the whole thing. Everyone's like, wait, what's going on? And then he just runs out, which is also crazy bold because like everyone in there is like military.
Yeah, it's crazy to kill someone like probably up a couple like flights of stairs, run down the flight of stairs, run down an aisle, jump up on the stage.
He jumps on the stage from the balcony.
Oh, wow.
And then as the story goes, which again, this is kind of disputed, apparently he breaks his leg when he jumps on the
I
stage.
was going to say, he didn't break like an ankle.
No, he literally snapped his leg. No
Wow.
pun intended, break a leg.
Break a
he
leg
like
out
hits
there.
it apparently on a flag, which is kind of nice irony.
Yeah.
You know, the flag gets one more.
I
You know
like
what I mean?
that.
For America. And he runs off. And everyone in the theater's like,
Hobbles.
what just... I think the adrenaline's pumping. You probably,
That's true.
You probably hoof it. And everyone in the theater's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
He bounces. He tells the guy to hold his horse outside. And the guy's like, all right. Jumps on the horse and he's like, see you later. And
That's
the
the
guy's
most
like,
theater kid shit in the world.
huzzah! We're getting away on horseback. It is the most theater way to kill him. Like,
It's
right? Like,
crazy.
I did it.
Yeah.
And then jump on his horse and be like,
Does
bye.
the big bow.
Bye, everybody. So basically, him and this guy Harold are about to dip. They leave. And Lincoln eventually dies nearby. His son, Robert Lincoln. Robert Tad Lincoln. Remember this name.
Yeah,
He sees him die.
Robbie T.
One of his kids at a young age. It's traumatic, as you can imagine. It's so sad. Remember his name. That'll come up later. So he runs away. He like basically like his escape plan is like all convoluted. He like goes the wrong way down the river. It's like a whole nightmare. And then he basically gets to this place, Garrett's Farm. It's like these guys, they don't have telegraph yet, so they don't even know that like the president died. And he's like dining with his family and they have no idea what's going on. He's using like a fake name, but he uses like a couple of hideouts along the way to hide. While he's running away, he's shocked by the reaction. He thinks everyone's going to be excited.
Yeah.
He's like, why isn't everyone cheering for me? He's like reading some of the newspapers as they get out, you know, because he only gets like a couple miles away. Yeah. He goes to Virginia, and he's like, why isn't everyone excited? He writes literally in his diary. He's like,
Journal.
you know, it's a diary.
Journal.
He's a theater kid.
It's diary. You're back.
He says, for 6 months we worked to capture, but our cause being almost lost. Something decisive and great must be done. I struck boldly, not as the papers say. I can never repent, though we hated to kill. And he's like, why doesn't the paper like cheer me on? Everyone's bummed about this. Everyone's sad. Like Lincoln basically does a funeral procession where they put him on a train to like take him around. Like 100,000 people in New York City came to see him. 1.5 million people saw his body or saw his casket as it was going by.
Wow.
Like the whole nation was sad. Robert E. Lee himself apparently expressed regret at Lincoln's death. And there was like mixed emotions. A lot of people in the South too that like didn't like Lincoln were like, oh great, now they're going to retaliate. Yeah. They're going to take us out. So this is actually a thing that ties into now. So news of the assassination reached all over the nation over time, and people were basically pointing at like political leaders in the media for causing this event.
Interesting.
This is very interesting. So
like rhetoric.
Literally, San Francisco Chronicle has this in one of their papers. They say, Booth has simply carried out what secession politicians and journalists have been for years expressing in words, who have denounced the president as a tyrant, as a despot, as a usurper, and hinted at and virtually recommended.
There was a literal war just a few years before, which is a
Sure.
little different than now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But all that to say, like, even at the time, like, people are kind of saying this now about Trump, like, oh, like, the rhetoric is that he's Hitler, and then someone takes him out.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think, oh, this happened when Lincoln got assassinated. It was the same thing.
Yeah, rhymes, but not repeats.
Exactly, right?
Wild.
And so people are looking at this, and they're like, oh, yeah. And apparently the media was, like, crushing Lincoln. Like, not everyone really liked him. And then it was at his death that he was now, like, revered as, like, the greatest guy ever.
Yeah, posthumous sort of like...
And they sort of like look past, even people in the South that hated him, like kind of look past all of his shit. So basically Booth gets away, he runs down to Virginia, and the Union soldiers are basically on his ass immediately. They're like, all right, let's go get him. So like they go to all the different people, they're like, where is he? Where's this guy? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I didn't even tell you. There were 2 other co-conspirators that had to kill all these other people, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
One of the guys...
Yeah, Axelrod and something else.
Exactly. One of the guys goes and takes out Seward.
The Secretary of State?
The Secretary of State gets stabbed, but not killed.
Oh, okay.
So he's at his house, he's like bedridden, and he gets stabbed, but survives. The other guy that was supposed to kill Vice President Johnson gets too anxious. He's like, I don't know,
me.
man.
That's me.
I know, I like hate the Union. I'm a Confederate soldier, but he drinks himself and gets drunk and then doesn't do it.
Takes a nap. That's me.
Sleeps through it.
I didn't know. It does rhyme. History does rhyme. Huh?
Wakes up at 11:30 p.m. like, fuck.
That's
what
so
happened?
funny.
And he's just like there and just like, ah, damn it.
Yeah.
So they all eventually get arrested. Everyone that was even remotely associated gets arrested. The guy that held the horse that didn't know what was going on, he gets arrested.
Nice.
So everyone gets arrested. He basically escapes down to Virginia. He's at Garrett's, farm. He's like living like in a barn basically. And the Union soldiers pull up on him. They're like, all right, come out. Harold, his like little co-conspirator getaway guy, he comes out. He's like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
John Wilkes Booth is like, nah, fuck that. I'm going out I'm going to fight it.
Waco.
So, yeah, so he's literally like, nah, fuck that. They put the barn on fire.
Waco.
He starts running around like, oh, fuck, they're going to kill me. Yeah. And then he gets shot, despite orders to get taken alive. The guy that shot him, a Union soldier that killed him, was supposed to take him alive. And he eventually got like reprimanded. Like people were pissed at him. Kills John Wilkes Booth. He dies in this barn. They pull his body out of like the burning barn. And his last words were, he basically says, tell my mother I died for my country. Holds his hands to his face and then says, useless, useless. He was 26 years old.
I mean, he's got a great... he's an actor. He's got a great presence.
Right?
Yeah.
Enigmatic, you know what I mean? Animated.
Bangers.
Scene stealer.
Yeah.
A real scene stealer, right? So he writes a letter to his sister, which also this part is crazy. He writes a letter to her before all this happens, and like days before, and it's like, don't open this until I'm dead. And she's like, okay.
All right.
Doesn't open it until I was like, if someone in my family gave me a letter and said, don't open this until I'm dead, I'm immediately opening it.
Well, that's not the instructions.
But
don't open till Christmas.
No, you open it. Nah. If someone's saying, hey, don't open this until I'm dead, I'm like, oh, well,
yeah, till I'm dead is an insane...
Give me a time.
Wow.
Give me a year or something. You're just going to say, oh, don't open this ever? I'd be like, what does that even mean?
That's wild. So what is that?
She opens it, and this is what it says. I know how foolish I shall be deemed for undertaking such a step as this, where on one side I have many friends and everything to make me happy. To give it all up seems insane. But God is my judge. I love justice more than I do my country that disowns it, more than fame or wealth. Like, he was just like so...
It's well written and like good...
Yeah, he's a smart guy, a good author. Yeah. But like so compelled by this like dumb cause that he was like, yeah, I'm going to just throw everything away. Crazy.
Was he painting houses? Anything lead related?
Maybe.
Probably.
I mean, doing drugs probably with theater kids, bro. I don't fucking know.
That's true.
What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because you are a man who needs a personal shopper. Now, here's how you're going to do it. You're going to go check out my good friends over at Bespoke Post. They scour the internet, every single corner and recess of the internet, to find the coolest items that you want, that you didn't even know that you needed. I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing. I went on Bespoke Post. I submitted kind of just like a very like regular onboarding quiz. It was like 10 questions or less. It was super easy. And it just asked kind of the things that I like to do. I like to hike. I like to go camping. I like to have a couple drinks with the boys. You know what I mean? Just kind of what my lifestyle is. And then within a couple days, they sent me this box. This is an amazing leather wallet. This is like a beautiful wallet that I would actually use. This is the name is Swedish for first, which makes a lot of sense because this is a perfect starter wallet if you're someone that's looking to get into the nice crafted leather wallet game. Throw your Velcro nonsense away, okay? And with the Bespoke Post, you're going to be getting something delivered directly to your door that's going to be a great first step into the leather wallet game. But that's not it. I also got this sick multi-tool right here. It's a bottle opener, which is probably what I'll be using it for the most. But then it can do everything. It can do a bunch of stuff. It can pry stuff. You can cut stuff, cut open packages. I even use this just like in my sock, just like walking around the city. You'd never realize how many times you gotta like open a package. You need a screwdriver to screw something in. You need a bottle opener. It's a multi-tool that can do a ton of stuff. It's made out of stainless steel. It's super nice. It's not gonna rust. It's airport safe. Bespoke Post is not gonna get you caught in a jam. And here's what's amazing about it. You only pay for what you keep. So before they even send it to you, they show you everything that's going to be coming in, and they say, hey, Mark, we looked at your whole profile. We looked at who you are. We think we know you better than you know you, and this is what we think you're going to love. Fortunately for me, I loved everything. So I was like, yeah, send me all that. That looks awesome. I'm going to be using all of this stuff. But if you're not like me and you're like, actually, I don't really drink that much anymore. I'm not going to take the bottle opener. They go, hey, that's fine. We'll keep it, and we're not going to charge you. So if you are interested in joining one of the coolest membership clubs on the internet, having the greatest items across the web delivered directly to your door for an extremely affordable price, I want you to check out bespokepost.com. That is BESPOKEPOST.com/Camp Gagnon. That's CAMPGAGNON, but you already know that. Bespokepost.com/Camp Gagnon. And if you use the promo code Camp Gagnon, you are going to receive 15% off your first monthly shipment. Just click the link in the description. That is bespokepost.com/campgagnon. Stop wasting time. You need to get on this right away and get all of your goodies sent directly to your door immediately. Now let's get back to the show. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because it's 2024 and it's time to talk about something important. When you are seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions. Yes, that's right. The world is a crazy place, and one person's negligence can result in another's settlement. And that's why I got to talk to you about Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and over 1,000 lawyers. Yes, these are the big boys. You know them, you see their billboards all over the world. If you ever drove down I-90 from Florida to New York, I'm telling you, you've seen the billboards, all right? Have you ever watched a UFC fight? You've seen them right on the banner. I'm telling you, these are the biggest guys in the game, all right? With over $20 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. The annoying thing with most attorneys is that in order to submit a claim, you got to call them up, you got to talk to their people, you got to go back and forth on emails, you got to hope that they see it. They might charge you just to even look at their claim. Here's the cool thing with Morgan & Morgan. With 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim and one of their licensed attorneys will take a look at it and get back to you. It's that easy. It's like ordering something off Amazon. It's just a couple clicks. You can submit your claim very easily and cheap. Yeah, how about $0? That's how much it costs to submit a claim with Morgan & Morgan. Extremely easy, no fee required. So, if you are ever injured, you can go check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. That's right, unless they win for you. Unless they fight and get you compensation, you're not paying a single dollar. That's a pretty good deal. So, for more information, go to forthepeople.com/gagnon. That's correct, forthepeople.com/gagnon, or dial pound law, that's pound 529 from your cell phone. That's for the people, forthepeople.com/gagnon, or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. Now let's get back to the show after this short disclaimer. So in the aftermath, all the conspirators were tried and hung, basically. Some were imprisoned. The dude that held the horse got like 20 years.
Damn.
His sentence eventually got commuted after like 6 years.
Hey.
But he was like, why? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, that sucks.
And like he was just like, dude, he's a famous actor. He asked me to like watch his car.
Yeah, basically.
And then killed someone and ran away. Like, what?
Yeah, I was just holding a Porsche.
So here's where it gets crazy. That was the end of John Wilkes Booth, right?
Yeah.
Or was it? Some people believe
Oh, hell yeah.
there's a conspiracy afoot, even at Lincoln's assassination. Remember, Andrew Jackson had his whole conspiracy. He was like, "Oh, they tried to take me out." Lincoln again. Everyone's like, "Oh, this was a confirmed hit." Okay, they tried to take him out. Basically, they think that a Booth lookalike was mistakenly killed at the barn, and that John Wilkes Booth eventually fled to like Japan or England.
Okay.
And apparently, there was a guy in 1903 that on his deathbed he was like, "I'm the real John Wilkes Booth." Okay. Apparently, John Wilkes Booth's body was identified by like 10 members of his family. His mother, his brother, Yeah. His younger brother, not the one that cut him off. And they all said, yeah, it's him. But then you got to think, maybe they knew it wasn't him. And they were like, wait, my boy's still alive.
Okay.
Let me just let this guy take the fall.
Yeah.
And then
he's all probably burned up and shit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then they can be like, yo, my son is alive somewhere.
Yeah.
So the death, like autopsy, looking at him, they're like, Apparently he had a tattoo.
Cool.
Which kind of sick at the time, right? Apparently he had a tattoo that they used to identify him, but then people were like, no. The tattoo was added.
Okay.
And here's why it was added. So, some people believe that there's a guy named Edwin Stanton. He's Lincoln's Secretary of State.
Okay.
If all 3 of these people in this plot had died, who would have been the new president?
The Speaker of the House.
At the time, it was Edwin Stanton.
Okay.
He would have taken over the role.
Got it.
I think. Especially in a time of like non-peace or whatever.
Yeah,
like there would have
sure.
been like, some type of order placed over everything.
So Lone survivor type shit.
So he had an incentive. And then furthermore, apparently Edwin Stanton hated the Reconstruction policy that Lincoln had put forward after the Civil War.
Got it.
So he was like, look, I'm down for abolishing slavery, but you're going to destroy our economy. Yeah. You're being super favorable to the South. You're going to use all of our resources up here to go help the South.
Got it.
And you're not thinking about us at all. Like you're gonna destroy the economy. So some people believe that this guy was actually behind the assassination. That he and Booth and a couple other people had actually like gotten together and created this plot to kidnap Lincoln. So when Lincoln was assassinated, Edwin Stanton apparently panicked. He was like, oh shit. He runs out the house. His wife is like, babe, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I gotta go check on something.
Yeah.
Goes to the house to see Lincoln basically like dead.
Yeah.
Then immediately goes to the theater. As the story goes, again, this is not proven, this is a conspiracy, but I'll tell it to you as folklore. He goes to the theater and gets a hold of John Wilkes Booth's jacket. What's inside his jacket? The infamous diary that we've been mentioning. The diary is like chronicled with everything, all of his things, all his manifesto, how he loves the South, da 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 da. And in the diary, there's 13 pages that are ripped out.
Okay.
People believe that Edwin Stanton, again, was working with John Wilkes Booth, found the diary, found all the pages that referenced him, ripped it out, put the diary back in his jacket. And this was like super popular as a theory. It became a book and then became a movie in like the 70s, the Lincoln Conspiracy. And this, again, was another conspiracy that was tied up with this whole thing that John Wilkes Booth is actually alive. He made it away. A different guy, a double agent, actually, in the Civil War for the North and the South. He was the one that took the fall just by happenstance. And that Stanton was involved and eventually like took out his name from the annals of his diary.
Wild.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So Lincoln's son,
Yeah.
the one that saw his dad get killed, right?
Yeah.
2 years or like a year before his dad's assassination, he's on a train car. And basically, he's like trying to get on this platform and there's a bunch of people on the train and he like falls below like the platform, like head first, and he's stuck. And he's like facing imminent death, basically. Like if the train starts moving, da da da, he's about to die. And someone grabs him by the collar and pulls him up.
Okay.
Who is it? John Wilkes Booth's brother, Edwin Booth.
Nice.
The famous
Edwin,
actor.
Edwin saves Tad.
Saves Robert Tad Booth.
Got it.
Or, Robert Tad Lincoln.
Got it.
Saves his life.
Yeah.
And obviously Robert Lincoln is like, dude, you just saved me.
Yeah.
Edwin, thank you so much, bro. And like they embrace and he's like, great to see you, dog. Like you saved my life. Thank you so much. He got like a letter from like the president or some shit or like from someone in the government basically being like, thank you for saving Robert's life. Like it was like a thing.
Okay.
And like Robert Lincoln wrote about it. He was like, dude, this guy saved my life. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
A year later, the brother of Edwin Booth goes on to kill the father of Robert Lincoln. Crazy coincidence. It's just insane. This would be like the equivalent of like if Chris Hemsworth pulled Ivanka from like a burning car.
Yeah.
And then a year later, Liam Hemsworth killed Donald Trump.
Oh, wild.
It'd be like, what are the odds? Like this
Yeah.
guy's so like it's like there's no way this is real. So Edwin Booth apparently saved Robert Lincoln's life on a train.
Did you come up with that comparison or no?
I found it.
Okay. Because I know you didn't know.
Pretty good, right?
It was well done because Chris is more famous than Liam, and I mean that's really well done.
Solid, right?
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that,
Good for them.
nailed it. So what happened to Edwin Booth, right?
Yeah.
His brother just killed a guy. He's one of the most famous actors in America.
Yeah, I always wonder what happens to these like brothers and things like that.
Takes a year off stage. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna chill for a little bit.
Makes sense.
Take some time off.
Yeah.
Comes back and returns in Hamlet, performing on stage. Da da da.
Okay.
Some people hate him. Edwin Booth, the brother, has an assassination attempt on him
Okay.
while he's on stage.
Okay.
Apparently over a personal dispute is what I read. But that apparently mad people were trying to kill him. So they were like, yeah.
1800s were awesome.
Crazy.
Just get shot for sort of an argument.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So he ends up going on to like found the Players in New York City. And they
Okay.
have a statue of him inside like the Players Society in New York City.
Got it.
And there's that giant statue of William Shakespeare in Central Park that was funded by all the brothers' production. That's Lincoln. Pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward 16 years. Who do we got? James Garfield.
Okay.
You were going to get there.
Yeah. I was doing the math. 1870?
This was 1881.
1881.
There you go.
That's what I meant to say.
Basically, James Garfield's assassinated. This one no one knows about, I feel like, in U.S. history. Like, you know about Lincoln.
Yeah.
You know
of
about
course.
Kennedy.
Yeah.
Garfield, McKinley, no one know about. And,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating.
Okay.
Basically, there's this guy, Guiteau. He's just like a loser. His life sucks. High school dropout. He like joined a religious commune that had like group marriages. It's basically like a
Fire.
free love, like little like
Yeah.
bang fest. And he gets rejected from the free love bang fest. That's hilarious.
That's very funny.
They call him Charles Get Out.
I mean,
Not a great pun, but it's
awesome.
It's
Awesome.
good, right?
That's great.
His own father disowns him. He leaves town. He tries to become a lawyer. He can't really get into law school. He gets involved in like the Bible. He becomes like a preacher. It goes around town like preaching the gospel. The craziest thing that happens is that he's starting to lose his mind. This guy Guiteau, right? His mind's starting to go. He's
social isolation.
He's got some problems. He's just can't really assimilate into society. Yeah. He's on a boat, and the boat crashes with another boat. His boat.
Where at?
Someplace where boats are.
Right.
The ocean. Maybe the ocean.
Chesapeake Bay, I'm guessing. I have no idea.
Let's check it out. If it is that, I'll buy you a Heineken.
Oh, great.
He basically crashes in with this boat, right? Mm-hmm. He's on this giant boat. His boat's fine. Okay. Everyone on the other boat basically dies.
Oh, weird.
So he has this like near-death experience where he goes, I'm divinely inspired for something in life. My life is actually not useless.
God saved him.
God saved me. I was divinely spared. So he gets involved in politics.
Of course.
He becomes a supporter of Garfield, James Garfield. He's like got his back. He's like writing on his behalf. He's like distributing manuscripts at the Republican National Convention being like, yo, vote for Garfield. This guy's awesome. He's the best. Garfield gets elected.
Yeah.
And now he's like, yo, I made you president.
Okay.
Again, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, I made you president. Like, what's good? At the time, what's really interesting is they had this thing called the patronage system. Okay. In the U.S. This was like a really popular thing. It's also called the spoil system.
Okay.
Where basically if you're a president and you get elected, you can just make people that supported you a part of your cabinet.
Okay.
So it's not like merit based. It's not like, oh, you're a lawyer, you're going to be a chief justice. It's just like, oh, you're my boy that helped me out. Okay. People call it like cronyism, nepotism. Yeah. Sure. At the time, it was really popular. It was basically done all the way up until Garfield.
That makes sense.
Garfield tried to get rid of it.
Okay.
And this made Guiteau furious.
Got it. So he's like, yeah, I should get a spot.
So at the beginning of the presidency for Garfield, he's going in there every single day. There's like a line around the building to basically get a spot, to become a minister of something, to become a consulate of something, to become a diplomat, da-da-da-da. Okay. People are lined up around the block. Yeah. So he's like, yo, it's make me something. Mm-hmm. He comes up in his mind. He's like, oh, I want to be the consulate to Vienna. He goes, no, wait. Actually, I want to be the diplomat to Paris. I should be the minister of France.
That's great.
So he goes in there and he's like, yo, Garfield, what's up, baby? I wrote all the shit. I made you elected. Like,
yeah, let me go live in France. And
he gets rejected.
Okay.
Once, twice, 5 times, 12 times. Eventually, like Garfield and all of his boys in the government were like, yo, stop talking to us.
Yeah,
I don't want to ever see you again.
Get out.
Get out again. This is like his 5th get out. He's like faced a life of rejection.
Okay.
How do you think he handles it?
Probably well.
Not great.
Oh,
so, what does he do? He goes to sleep and gets a message from God.
Love this.
That's good, right?
Yeah. Usually
don't you love it when you get a little dream from God?
I constantly.
What do you think God would tell you in a dream? Do you think he would be like, oh, like, take care of people, donate to charity or something?
Probably.
Something like that.
Yeah.
His message was basically to kill the president. His message from God was, hey, go kill the president and get Vice President Chester Arthur, a stalwart Republican, get him to be president. That's what you need to do. God's orders.
Got it.
He wakes up and he's like, all right, that's what it is. So he goes out, he buys a gun.
Okay.
This is a wild little detail. He basically has the option at the gun shop to like buy a wood gun or an ivory gun. And he goes, which one would look better in a museum? And picks the ivory gun so that it would look better in a museum.
Good forethought.
Ironically, the gun eventually gets lost and no one actually knows where it is.
Oh, bummer.
It's going to be on Pawn Stars probably in like 2 years. So he had the chance to kill Garfield once. He was like tracking his movements. Like they sometimes put in the papers like, oh, the president will be in our town. He'll be on a train, da-da-da. But his wife was in poor health and he was like, I don't want to kill this guy while his wife is sad. I don't want to make her sad.
Kind.
He still has decorum. You don't want to make the first lady sad.
I like this guy.
So he's like, all right, I'm going to wait. The President Garfield, was supposed to go from D.C. to visit his wife in Jersey, where she's like kind of like, taking care of herself, trying to get her health better. And the shooter was like, all right, today's the day. He goes and gets his shoes shined because he's like, there's going to be, they're going to talk about me in the paper. I got to look good. Again, this guy's like insane. Goes and gets his shoes shined. He's like, all right. Again, this is like the infamy shit we were talking about with like the guy that tried to kill Trump. He's like, this is my debut. Watch as it unfolds. Yeah. Gets his shoes shined, gets a pretty gun, and goes up. He shoots him, basically right in the stomach, and says, I am stalwart of the stalwarts. Arthur is president now. Again, stalwarts was like a faction within Republicanism.
Got it.
And he was like, people are going to love me.
Yeah.
I just killed the guy that God told me to kill.
On the train?
On the platform of the train as he was going on.
Okay.
Here's the crazy thing. The shooting's non-fatal. Doesn't hit any internal organs. I think gets 2 bullets into him.
Wow.
No internal organs. He's like basically like kind of fine despite being shot. The doctors start to stick their fingers and instruments into him. Yeah. So he shoots him. He gets tackled.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like just taken out of the picture. He's gone. Guiteau's on the ground. He's like in handcuffs. Like everyone's taking care of him, beating the shit out of him. And then the doctors immediately start putting their fingers into Garfield on the platform.
Okay.
Try to dig the bullet out.
Fire.
So there's like
Yeah.
getting in there.
Platform penetration.
Literally, just like penetrating the dude on like the D train.
Wild.
Just like trying to figure it out.
That's awesome.
So they're getting their fingers in there. They got like instruments like sticking it into him, the whole thing. It's a nightmare. Here's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Guess who was on the platform with him at the time that he's assassinated that calls up the doctor? Robert Tad Lincoln.
I was trying to think of the name.
He sees the second president. This is like 20-something years later. He sees another president get assassinated.
Oh, this is wild.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it gets even crazier. We'll get to that in a second. So he basically sees this guy get shot and he goes, oh, fuck, call the doctor. Guess which doctor they called? Lincoln summons D. Willard Bliss.
Francis Scott Keys.
No.
Ah, damn it. All right.
Guess what the D of D. Willard Bliss stands for?
I'll let you say it.
Doctor.
Oh, well.
His first name is Doctor.
Oh, that's awesome.
But Dr. Willard Bliss, D. Willard Bliss, is apparently super arrogant. He's like a kind of like a dickhead.
Yeah.
He like there's like rumors that germs exist at the time. There's like this. Some people are like, you know,
oh yeah,
Lister
germ
comes out
like,
and he's like, yo, I think germs are a thing. This doctor's like, it's bad air.
Yeah.
There's not germs.
My name's Doctor.
My name's Doctor. I've never seen a germ in my goddamn life.
Yeah.
A germ could walk in here right now. I wouldn't recognize him. You know what I mean? Like he's talking that shit. So he's like sticking his fingers into the guy. And then for 80 days, Garfield is basically like in this hospital in the heat, just burning alive, infection riddling his body.
Okay.
And this doctor's like, I'm the only one that can see him. I'm going to fix this man. I'm getting these bullets out.
Great.
They can't get the bullets out. He's kind of obese, this guy, Garfield. So
I
like
think magnets would work.
Well, this is where you might be onto something here.
Okay.
Not exactly magnets, but they call Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah, phone guy.
And they say, hey, use your famous little metal detector that you made and try to find the thing. Alexander Graham Bell takes the metal detector and starts running it over Garfield's body.
He's at the beach. He's an old man at the
literally,
beach.
he's
I
like,
love
beep,
this.
beep. Here's the crazy thing. It's beeping the whole time.
Oh, no.
And he's like, I guess the thing's malfunctioning. They realized later he was laying on a spring mattress.
Ah, classic.
But they didn't know, like...
Yeah.
Long story short, 80 days go by. His weight goes from 210 to 130.
Ozempic.
Basically. Ozempic before Ozempic. He looks great.
Looks awesome.
By the time he dies, he's a rail, baby. He looks unbelievable, just shredded to the gills. People are like, you juicing?
Oh, that's so funny.
My man dies. That's it.
80 days later.
80 days later.
All right.
The country, for the first time since the Civil War, kind of comes together. They like are like, damn, our president just died. Like, that sucks. It actually brings unity amongst the people. Which, again, we can look at some of the shit now. It's like, this thing might bring some unity. The trial happens. This guy, Guiteau, this is what's wild. He's in court saying, hey, I didn't kill the president. I shot him.
Yeah, this is going to be my point, weirdly enough.
The doctors killed him.
It's a tough distinction to make.
So he's in court being just like a scumbag. Okay, no one wants to represent him because it's like, yo, you just killed the president. The only person that represents him is his sister's husband.
Okay.
If you've ever had to do shit for your in-laws,
it's
not the easiest thing in the world. Now imagine you have to represent your in-law that just killed the president.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, fuck. He's also being like a dick about it. So he's like crazy. He says that he's temporarily insane because God took away his free will. He became like a media sensation. He would like curse at the judge in the courtroom, which like never happened. He'd be like, yo, fuck you, bitch. He was like Nate Diaz. Awesome. I'll fucking do something. Like he was like talking shit to the judge. He would like walk outside the courtroom and like wave to everyone. Like, people must love me.
Oh, great.
Crazy guy. And so he's like talking all this shit. He's like reading poems. He even puts out like an ad in the paper during the trial looking for a under 30 Christian lady. He was basically oblivious to America's hatred for him. He had no idea. People tried to assassinate him twice because they hated him so much. He would just smile and do his thing.
Okay.
He gets sentenced to hanging.
Oh, all right.
And has a great time the whole way.
Wild.
Guiteau's like just doing his thing. He's having fun. He's dapping people up. He goes onto the gallows dancing and like daps up the executioner. He's like, yo, what's up, man?
Wild.
He's just like being like a homie. And he's just like on the platform. He basically is just like, whoa, before you kill me, can I read my last dying prayer? And the executioner's like, yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Like, yeah, like no one's ever done that before.
I mean, if he's being, I would be like, yeah, dude.
So he just starts freestyling.
Okay.
On the gallows, just like da 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 da. And he's basically like, God inspired the act for which I'm now murdered. The government in this nation by this act will incur thy eternal enmity. The divine law of retribution will strike this nation and my murderers. Pull the rug out from under him, hangs there, dies.
Got it.
Immediately, people go and start chopping up the rope for souvenirs. This is the craziest thing about, like,
net down.
Literally, it's like they just won a fucking conference championship. They're like, all right, let's take it.
Yeah, get on the ladder, cut the fucking net down.
They take the shit, like they immediately start parting shit up for souvenirs, and
it's funny how humans do that.
It's hilarious, especially in this time. It seems like everything this time was like souvenir. It's like every place was Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah,
like let's just get some weird shit.
Yeah,
just show people. Even weirder, they do an autopsy on his brain because they think they're gonna like see something.
Okay.
Like, yeah, let's look at his brain. It's probably mushy.
Yeah.
They look at it, it's a regular brain. They're like,
damn it,
fuck.
All right.
We don't believe germs, but maybe there's an ant,
like a devil in there.
There's a leak or something. Who knows? Who knows what's going on there? And basically, he dies. His brain is actually on display at the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia.
Oh, great.
You can go see it if you want to go see Guiteau's brain. And then Arthur becomes president. Ends up doing a decent job.
Okay.
Arthur does his thing. Mark Twain even said, it's hard to do better than Arthur did given the circumstance.
That's good.
And that was the whole story. Basically, the guy died for just like people not knowing about germs.
But he got his boy in. Like, he technically got what he wanted.
And apparently, Arthur did kind of what Guiteau wanted. Like, Guiteau apparently had like all of these like...
this guy might be the winner of it all.
He was a crazy guy, but had like some political ideas against Garfield, of course. And Arthur kind of did like a decent job and like kind of like, you know, help the nation out.
Yeah, I think this guy might have won.
By
losing.
It's a little crazy, right? So that's the second president to get assassinated. Fast forward 20 years, William McKinley.
1901.
1901. Fuck yeah, let's fucking go, dude. You crushed that.
Math there, everybody.
You fucking crushed that.
Redemption.
So William McKinley, this is not a crazy guy. I mean, he is a little crazy.
The only thing I know about him is the Denali was named after him, and he never visited it.
It's kind of rude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you...
I think we should call him President Denali as like a get back retribution.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to go visit the mountain named after you,
yeah,
it's kind of disrespectful. William McKinley was unfortunately assassinated on September 6, 1901, 6 months into his second term, by Leon Kolgosh.
2 names.
Well, it's his whole name.
Well, I'm saying, like, the first guy you mentioned, 2 names.
Yeah.
3 names. 2 names? All right.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a middle name.
That's true.
Yeah, and this guy, Charles Guiteau, I don't know his middle name. It's just J.
Interesting. Okay.
James. I'm going to go with James. William McKinley, 20 years later, gets killed by Leon Kolgosh. This one is there is some writing on the wall here. Okay. And there's also some crazy through lines that we've already talked about that tie into this one too.
Yeah, turn of the century, 1901.
What's happening at the turn of the century? People are fired up. There's new inventions. Where do these new inventions go? The World's Fair.
Yeah, the World's Fair.
So they do one in Buffalo. That sucks.
Yeah, that's awful.
Got to be in Buffalo. But they're like, maybe if we bring some sideshow shit, people will get excited. McKinley is like a super gregarious guy. Mm-hmm. He's like doing his thing. He's like shaking hands with everybody. He just loves just meeting people. He just wants to be with the people. He hated security. He just was like, I don't like having police around me. I just want to be with the people.
Okay.
This is going to come back to bite him in the ass. You'll see how. So basically, McKinley gets elected in like 1896. There's a big economic panic in 1893, and he kind of like shores up the country. He gets things figured out. He gets Puerto Rico, Guam. He's sort of an imperialist, okay? That's what his detractors would say. Yeah. But the people that support him are like, no, you know, got Puerto Rico. I like Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, I do too.
You know what I mean? The reason that your block is so loud is
my block.
Because of William McKinley.
That's awesome.
There you go. It's all because of him. So maybe you might agree with Kolgosh.
I'm going to start calling them McKinleys.
Yeah, a couple of McKinleys on the corner. So Kolgosh is the son of Polish immigrants, born in America. He's an American citizen. During this big economic panic, he loses his job. Can't figure it out. He's working in a factory. He loses it. Now he's like homeless. He's like a drifter. He's kind of dumb. He's like, just can't figure his shit out, right? Finds out about this thing called anarchism.
Got it.
Big political movement at the time.
Yeah.
This woman, Emma Goldman, is like one of the big like proponents of anarchism. And basically he like finds some of her books and is like, this is the reason I lost my job.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
It's because of, you know, the government oppressing the people, tyrants, trying to hurt everyone, the working class. And we need anarchism. Abolish the government.
Okay.
Let everyone just do whatever they want. Basically give me power, more or less. Yeah. And at the time, anarchists had done like a bunch of terror attacks.
Okay.
So Kolgosh is doing his thing. He ends up actually even getting close to Emma Goldman, this like big author that's like kind of touting this idea, and like kind of starts stalking her. And she's like concerned about him. But they end up riding in a carriage together to the train station one day, like just talking about anarchism. And she gets off and she's like, that guy's fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
Again, all of these people are kind of social rejects.
Yeah.
They're either just crazy and social rejects or just social rejects and pissed off and like try to like make a name for themselves or like have power in some other way.
Yeah, I think it's hard to have friends and like social commitments and also
want to just end your life.
Yeah, and like have time to just ruminate on like what you're going to do to a powerful person. Yeah. If like someone's like, dude, you want to go get drinks and watch the game?
He's like, oh, I'm just mad about McKinley.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
The Yankees are playing.
Oh, McKinley's oppressing the working class.
Yeah. It's
what a loser. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because you need to get your labs done. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you're 35, you feel your testosterone's starting to go down a little bit. You got to get your blood work done, see what's going on inside your body. Maybe you're 25, maybe you're 27 like me, and you're like, oh, I don't need to do this. No. Now is the best time to get your blood work done because now you get a baseline for the rest of your life. Now, here's the problem with getting your blood work done. You got to go through and find a lab that accepts your insurance. It's a whole big thing. Then you have to find someone to read and interpret your blood work and then give you some type of dietary change that's going to actually improve your labs based off what they find. This is a huge stress and it's a huge problem. I was bitching about it to a friend of mine and he was like, dude, why don't you check out Merrick Health? It's from my boy Derek from More Plates, More Dates, and it's absolutely amazing. It saved me so much time and so much energy and money you would not believe. So with Merrick Health, it's super simple. You do one little entry-level questionnaire. It goes through your whole medical history. It goes through your kind of like routine, what type of fitness you like to do, what your diet is, and then they send you a kit. You send your blood work right back, and then within a couple days, they tell you exactly what's going on with your blood work, whether your levels are amazing, whether they're pretty good and they could be better, or whether they're bad and what you can do to improve them. If you're someone like me that's interested in fitness, interested in staying healthy for a long period of time, if you like working out, there's no better solution than Merrick Health. So I want you to check them out. They offer a turnkey optimization package designed for those driven to maximize performance and support longevity with the most elaborate testing available on the market. So I would recommend you check out Merrick Health. If you're interested, listeners of this program will be getting 10% off at checkout if they use the code GAGNON, G-A-G-N-O-N, at Merrick Health. Again, that's Merrick Health, M-A-R-E-K, health, HEALTH.com/Gagnon, and use the code Gagnon at checkout to save 10%. Take control of your health, go to them, fill out the questionnaire. It's like ordering something off like Uber or like buying something from Amazon. It's just a couple easy clicks and you can get a kit sent to your house, blood work done, and an entire regimen to improve your health. Check them out, merrickhealth.com. Now let's get back to the show. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because we got to talk about your amazing dick game. Yes, you right now, listen to my voice, my deep, soothing voice. You have an amazing dick game. Or maybe you know someone with an amazing dick game. Maybe you got a boyfriend. Who knows? But if you have an amazing dick game, there's a way that you can make it better. And that's with the good people over at Blue Chew. Blue Chew is an amazing service that basically delivers a chewable tablet that has the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, all that stuff, but this is the chew. It's at a fraction of a cost, and it's never been easier to get your hands on the greatest dick game of your life. Never been easier. I'm telling you. You can go to bluechew.com, and you can submit all your information to a licensed person, a legit person that will then mail you a discreet, very unassuming, but very, very powerful package. You know what I'm talking about? The powerful package to your home. That's how easy it is. You don't got to go talk to a doctor and be like, yeah, you know, I want, nope, easy. You got to just go on the internet. Yo, bluechew.com. I want to get the best dick given of my life. And that's how you do it. Easy as that. And for the listeners of this show, of this program, you are going to get free first month of Blue Chew. You're going to be getting Blue Chew for free. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. That's a cup of coffee. Black to be delivering that BBC. You know what I'm saying? That's bluechew.com, BLUECHEW.com. Use the promo code GAGNON, G-A-G-N-O-N, and receive your first month for free. That's bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And thank you so much, Blue Chew. I'm telling you, man, check out this product. Even if you're one of these people that's like, I don't know, I don't really need it. What are you talking about? It could be better. It can always be better. Let's say you're in the 1%, you're about to be in the 0.01% with Blue Chew. Now let's get back to the show. Basically, this guy like finds out about this big expo that they're going to be doing in Buffalo, and he's living there at the time. The World's Fair is coming, and McKinley is going to be doing a big like weekend. He's going to go there. He's going to do a speech. He's going to go there and meet every single person basically at the fair.
Meet and greet.
Literally doing like, and like 150,000 people are at this thing.
Wow.
It's like packed. And he's going to do a meet and greet with like 60,000 people.
Fire.
Like insane. He just loved just being out there with the people, da da da. So
historic numbers. Hang the banner. Dude.
Right? That's what I'm saying, dude. So McKinley gets to Buffalo. This is, again, another weird piece of irony that always shows up with these things. I don't know if it's premonitions or what, but like every single time a president gets assassinated, there's like weird things that happen.
Okay.
Oh, a weird little detail that I actually didn't tell you about Garfield, the guy just before.
Yeah.
Remember how Robert Lincoln, Lincoln's son, was on the platform?
Yeah.
He was telling Garfield the night before about his father's assassination.
Whoa.
Garfield was like, so, Robert, what was it like when your dad was killed? And he was like, well, it was like this and da-da-da, and this thing happened, da-da-da. Like, the next day, he gets assassinated.
Well, shot.
No, Garfield died.
80 days later.
Yeah, okay. All right, fine. I'm glad you're listening. Jesus.
Paying attention.
McKinley gets to Buffalo. He's on the train with his wife.
Yeah.
And when he pulls into the train station, they're like, oh, we're going to do the sick thing. We're going to light a cannon and blow this cannon up to be like, the president's here, say.
That's fire.
Do a fucking dive through the table. The Buffalo Bills are there in full force. Bill's Mafia is like, dude, light the cannon. Let's go.
Awesome.
So literally, he pulls up to the train station. They light the cannon too close to the fucking train.
Uh-oh.
It explodes and blows out like 20 windows on the train. It's like the glass breaks in. The president's like fucking hit with glass. His wife is like, what the fuck is going on? People in the crowd are like, it's anarchists.
Interesting.
And they're like, they thought it was a bomb.
God.
Low-key, I think that guy said it as a joke.
Yeah.
It's probably some frat dude going to Buffalo, and he's like, dude, anarchists, right? Am I right?
Yeah, the white trash of the north.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's like, yeah. So then McKinley like gets glass on. He's like, oh, fuck this shit. And his wife's like, babe, be careful. And he's like, bitch, I got this. Yeah. Walks out on the platform. He's like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, McKinley's here. And they're like cheering him on, McKinley, McKinley. And he walks out. He's like dapping people up. Kolgosh is there.
Yeah.
His future assassin is sitting there, like with a gun. He's like, oh, I'm not close enough. Huh. And he's like, oh, the disturbance from the cannon like fucking riled people up. People are going to be on guard. Like, damn, I lost my chance. So then McKinley goes back to his house, da-da-da-da. And they have these two things set up, the speech and then the giant meet and greet.
Yeah.
McKinley's like closest aide, I think he was his secretary at the time, was basically like, don't do the meet and greet. You saw what happened to Garfield. You saw what happened to Lincoln. Don't do the meet and greet. And he's like, I'm going to do the meet and greet. His secretary pulls the meet and greet off of the schedule.
Yeah.
McKinley puts it back on. Pulls it off the schedule again.
Wow.
McKinley puts it back on.
Wow.
Literally 2 times the secretary was like, it's not worth it. And he goes, come on. What's the worst that could happen? Literally, words that he said to his secretary, why should I? No one would wish to hurt me.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. So he does the speech. Thousands of people are there. Kills it with a speech. Everyone loves it. Kolgosh is there again, like near the front, but not close enough. And
crushes.
Like,
levels.
Damn. Yeah, just like destroying. Yeah. Destroying, dude. Yeah. And he's like, damn, I wish I could just, I can't reach him.
Yeah.
So he goes to bed. He's like, damn, back in his hotel room. Another day goes by. Now it's time for the meet and greet. You got to get there by 8:30. There's a huge line. Yeah. And if you're not one of the 50,000 people in there, you're not going to meet him. So it's the first 50,000. Okay. So Kolgosh gets ready. He gets there just in time. He makes like one of the last people. And he's in the room. Or he's not even in the room. He's in this giant place ready to meet McKinley. Yeah. Everyone's going up. McKinley's shaking hands. Apparently, he could shake 50 hands a minute.
Damn.
People just come up and be like, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And it's just quick. Boom, boom, boom. He's got police and like military people all around him. He's got like a bunch of like trees and stuff like set up and like bushes and things so that people can like hide behind it. Like there's like legit security at this one. Because they know about these other assassination attempts. Yeah. And the secretary that wanted to get it off the schedule was like, let's beef up the security. Let's get a bunch of people in there. Okay. So he's meeting all these people. And then he gets stopped. Because there's a 12-year-old girl that walks up to him. And McKinley was infamous for having this red carnation on his lapel. And it was just like sitting right there. And it was like his good luck charm. And this 12-year-old girl sees it with her mom. And she's like, President, such a pretty carnation. And he goes, here you go, dear. You have it. Gives it to the girl. His good luck charm.
Yeah, takes it off.
A couple people later, you have people coming up. And again, everyone has to come up to the president with their hands open. That's like the rule. You have to have your hands open. Security will brief you before, be like, open your hands. And you walk up to the president with your hands open, shake his hand, and they get moving. During this day, it was super hot in Buffalo. So at the time, people would basically have handkerchiefs.
It's hot when they're getting killed.
It's summertime.
Okay.
You don't want to kill someone in the winter. And also, I don't imagine you do outdoor events in the winter.
All right, fine.
You know what I mean? So then you got to get inside, da-da-da. So, and you can't escape inside.
It's true.
I'm just putting this together right now. I'm like, yeah, this makes a ton of sense, actually.
Yeah, you're doing great.
So basically, McKinley's out here meeting all these people, and at the time it was super hot, so people would put handkerchiefs around their hands to like wipe their forehead. It was like a thing.
All right.
And people were like, all right, it's super hot. Everyone's in suits and hats.
Getting ready for boxing.
Yeah. Just like on the one hand, wiping their forehead. So Kolgosh walks up to McKinley. He's got his hand wrapped.
Yeah.
And he looks at his hand and he assumes like, oh, he must be injured. So he goes to shake his hand with his right hand. McKinley shakes his hand. And then immediately Kolgosh has the gun hidden underneath the handkerchief. Shoots him. Bang.
Shitty magic trick. No doves.
No. No, just a gun.
Yeah.
He tries to kill the president with. And eventually we'll find out succeeds. He shoots him. He gets tackled. Kolgosh goes, I done my duty. McKinley like kind of falls back. They catch him. They get a chair for him. They put him in the chair. And he starts insisting that he's fine. McKinley's like, no, I'm good. It's fine. Like, there's no problem. Everything's good. He insists that he's fine and then sees Kolgosh getting beat up and goes, guys, come on. Don't beat him up.
Okay.
He didn't mean it. And literally orders the crowd to stop beating the shit out of this guy.
Wow.
Different than Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson would have been like, yo, fucking give me the gun, bro. Let's go outside. Let's run the ones real quick.
Yeah, fisticuffs.
30 seconds. You know what I mean? Let's run a fade. But no. McKinley goes, yo, let's chill. It's fine. He orders the beating to stop, and then all of a sudden he thinks of his wife first. After he just got shot, he goes, yo, protect that guy, and then tells his secretary, he goes, yo, tell my wife to be careful. She's not there at the time. He goes and tells him, they go and tell her, like, yo, like, be careful, your husband just got shot.
Yeah.
And then their whole love affair actually is really sad. I'll explain this to you in a second. It's like super sad. They take him to the medical expo, like hospital tent.
Nice. That's a great place to be.
The Buffalo World's Fair.
It's a great place to be.
There's no doctor there. There's no doctor. There's only like interns and nurses. The nearest doctor that could operate on this is in Niagara Falls. They get a telegraph to him and they're like, or a telegram. And they're like, hey, you got to help us. Like someone just got shot.
It's just crazy. There's not like a fucking surgeon in Buffalo.
Right? There still isn't to this day.
Yeah, that's true.
So they go to Niagara and they go, hey, you got to help this guy. He just got shot. And he goes, I can't do it. I'm in the middle of neck surgery for a woman. If I walk away, she's going to die.
Yeah.
And they go, you don't understand. It's the president of the United States. And he stops for a second. He's like, I can't go even for the president of the United States. This is an infamous decision because 2 weeks later, this same doctor did an identical surgery on a woman that got shot twice and saved her life.
He's like, I can't go.
Yeah, I'm doing neck surgery on the Niagaran.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to save a Niagaran's life.
All right, slow down.
Is that what you call him?
Nah, I don't think you call him that.
A faller.
Yeah, faller. Fallian.
A falla.
Yeah.
He's trying to save their life,
yeah.
Okay? And he's like, yo, I can't do neck surgery. I can't do surgery on both people. I got to save the woman I'm already doing surgery on.
I sort of get it.
If you're the doctor, what are you going to do?
If you're like, halfway through.
Yo, I got to bounce. I got to go do something else. Like,
technically, presidents aren't supposed to be above the...
Trolley problem shit, low key.
Yeah,
it's like, do I save a bigger person more influence with it?
Yeah.
It's tough. So he decides to stay. McKinley eventually waits there. The nurses try to figure it out. They're kind of like poking and prodding a little bit. They're not as, egregious as they were with Garfield, but like they're getting in there. Yeah. Trying to do their thing. And then basically McKinley's like laying there, a doctor comes. He even says on his gurney as he's there, like kind of getting operated on, he goes, he didn't know, poor fellow, what he was doing. He couldn't have. Like McKinley's just like, this guy, like, why would he shoot
McKinley's the more crazy one of the two.
Maybe. Honestly, maybe. There's an anarchist in this guy that's like,
delusional beyond belief.
Why did he do that?
Yeah.
Why would he want to do that? I'm a good guy.
His gun slipped.
Right. Why would he try to shoot me? They had an x-ray machine that they could try to find the bullet at the World's Fair. It was like one of the first x-ray machines ever.
That's cool.
And they're like, we don't want to use it. It's too experimental. It's like a sideshow attraction for children. Like it's, we're going to use it on a president. They didn't use the x-ray machine. This is one of the first presidential assassinations that the telegraph spread around the world. Everyone knew about it.
Wow. The
problem with getting shot in the stomach, basically like for all of history that guns were invented, is that it penetrates your stomach and then infects all of your internal organs. You get gangrene.
Yeah, you're like large intestine spills out.
Yeah.
And then you got fecal matter in the
body.
Get
a crazy infection, you get gangrene, and you die. So he dies like relatively soon after. I got to know the exact time. Yeah. It was like a week. And it's really sad. The first lady goes in there and she sees him and she's sobbing, crying as he's like in his last breaths. He's about to die. He's like laying there. He just got shot by this guy, Kolgosh. And his wife is sobbing over him and says, I want to go too. Don't go without me.
Oh, God.
I want to go too. And his reply is just fire. He goes, honey, we are all going. We are all going. God's will be done, not ours. and with his final ounce of strength, puts his arm around his wife and dies as she sings him a hymn. It's like so sad.
That's cute.
And then Kolgosh basically goes to trial, doesn't cooperate at all with the lawyers. They like try to send like priests to go make him convert. He's like, fuck your religion, fuck everyone. Like,
He's just anarchist to the core.
yeah, and just like crazy. He's just like, fuck all this shit, whatever. So then 9 days later, he basically goes to the trial. The jury deliberates for 30 minutes. They said it would have been shorter, but they had to like look at evidence. And he's sentenced to death by electric chair on October 29th, 1901. Acids placed in his casket to dissolve the body. And
he gets killed.
Yeah, he gets electric chair and gets put in like a prison graveyard. And that's
Second guy killed.
Yeah. Now, here's where it gets crazy.
Acid in the... That's crazy.
Guess who was at the assassination of William McKinley?
Fucking Tad, dude.
Robert Tad Lincoln.
God damn.
Was at like the next building, and he heard something. He was like, what's everyone talking about? And he go, oh, President McKinley just got assassinated. And he's like, what the fuck?
Wild.
Robert Lincoln's life is crazy. He's seen 3 presidents get assassinated at this point. Yeah. The only 3 that have ever been assassinated. He's at all of them.
Every person in the 1800s had a crazy life. You read just any historical, like any baseball player, they're like, well, he invented penicillin, and then he also played baseball, and then he, was on the railroads. Like, they all have insane lives.
Yeah.
And Tad sounds like he's got the craziest of them all.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
He's just in there just watching McKinley get killed. And literally, he writes in his book, I think he does like a memoir later, and he's like, I don't go to the White House anymore because I'm a bad luck omen for presidents. He's like, I don't have me around. And his life is actually kind of tragic. He ends up telling a biographer.
Good recognition.
He's like, none of these presidents wanted me. They didn't want Robert Lincoln in their cabinet. They didn't want Robert Lincoln on their staff. The CEOs of these companies, they didn't want me on their boards. They wanted Abraham Lincoln's son. And he kind of lives like almost like this like tragic kind of life, like kind of living in the shadow of like his father that is like, you can't even get close to.
House the Dragon shit. This is awesome.
This is real life.
Yeah,
it's crazy, awesome. Right? So that's that. One good thing that comes out of this, the Secret Service is invented.
Out of the IRS, correct? Or no, the Treasury.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Secret Service weirdly investigates counterfeit money schemes a lot. Because they came out of like the Treasury.
That's cool.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes still today, the Secret Service will like find the plates that they're making like $100 bills on in like Pennsylvania or whatever the fuck the thing is.
Whoa.
They're like, oh, they're doing 2 times. They're doing 2 things.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, long story short, that's what happens to McKinley.
Yeah.
He goes out from this anarchist Kolgosh, and that's his life.
Wild.
Bummer, right? But Lincoln's been at all of them. And then we got Teddy Roosevelt. He doesn't get killed, but he does get shot.
Yeah, Teddy.
And this one's kind of cool. So, October 14th, 1912. Again, Teddy Roosevelt is McKinley's VP.
Yeah.
He becomes president directly after McKinley gets killed.
This is how he gets more terms.
So he gets 2 terms and then steps down.
Yeah.
Taft takes over, and he doesn't like Taft.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'm going to run for re-election.
Yeah.
Let's get after it.
Yeah, this is the 3rd term thing.
So he tries to get him for the 3rd term. Basically, this guy, John Schrank, mentally unstable, literally just a crazy guy. He believed that no one should serve 3 terms as the president and thought that Roosevelt's candidacy was a threat to American democracy because he was going to set up a dictatorship. Again, just an insane person, like was diagnosed with
the craziest thing in the world.
Diagnosed with schizophrenia. And he was like, all right, I'm going to take him out. He had a dream, again, another dream,
God,
from President McKinley, who was just killed, right? The guy we were just talking about, like 11 years earlier.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, avenge my death.
1912.
We can't have a murderer in the seat of the president. Avenge my death. This is the man who killed me. And he sees Theodore Roosevelt in his dream.
Okay.
And President McKinley is like, that's the guy that took me out.
Yeah.
Again, there's no connection between Theodore Roosevelt's, like conspiracy, nothing that I found that he was plotting.
Yeah.
But this guy, Schrank, was like, I'm going to take him out. Gets this dream and he goes, all right, showtime. He pulls up at the hotel in Milwaukee where Teddy Roosevelt's about to go, get a limo to do a speech. Takes out a gun, points it right at Teddy Roosevelt. Again, Secret Service is around, but he just does it real quick as he's leaving the hotel, right into the car, pops out, shoots him in the chest. Bang. Mm-hmm. Teddy Roosevelt doesn't even flinch. He gets shot right in the chest and just looks down and goes, huh. Coughs 2 times. Because again, Teddy Roosevelt is like a man. He's like a hunter. He's like super into
the bull moose.
He's into anatomy type shit.
Yeah.
Coughs to see if there's blood, to see if like it actually punctured his lungs or anything.
Yeah.
No blood.
Wild.
And so then the guy goes, President, are you shot? And President Roosevelt infamously says, he pinked me, Harry.
Wow.
Yeah, he didn't make me bleed. I'm not bloody, but he pinked me.
Yeah, 'tis but a flesh wound.
Literally, it's like Monty Python.
Yeah.
So Roosevelt, again, just like all the other presidents, sees the guy get the shit beat out of him. And Roosevelt says, don't hurt him. Bring him here. I want to see him.
Oh, wow.
And it tells the crowd to stop beating up this guy, Schrank, that tried to kill him. Again, he like just checks himself out. He's like, I'm good. They go, hey, you got to go to the hospital. He goes, I got a speech.
Yeah.
I got a speech in like 20 minutes. What are you talking about? Go to the hospital. I'm going to miss my speech.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't postpone the speech. Goes up on stage and delivers an 84-minute speech with blood dripping out of his shirt after just getting shot.
Wow.
Again, he looks for the bullet, can't find it, sees the entry wound, but no exit wound. And he goes, oh, the bullet's inside me somewhere. Does an 84-minute speech.
I have a conspiracy.
I'm listening.
Trump just did a 90-minute speech for his acceptance speech.
To try to top Teddy Roosevelt.
Literally, I think he probably heard it was 84 minutes. I'm just being crazy here.
That's a great theory.
He was like, okay, this guy did a speech with a bullet wound. It was 84 minutes. I also have a bullet wound, and I'm going to do 90.
How about 90?
Yeah.
That's fire. Low key, that's a great theory. I really like that.
Just pick that up.
84 minutes, does the speech. As he's doing the speech, he's literally dropping pages of his speech.
Oh, wow.
Now, what's important about the speech is the reason that this bullet wound didn't just go straight through and make him bleed out is because when it hit him in the chest, he had his 50-page speech in his breast pocket and his eyeglass case. It was a metal eyeglass case in his breast pocket. Gets shot. It hits the speech, all 50 pages, hits the eyeglass case, goes into his body, and then never comes out.
Wow.
It broke up the bullet good enough that it didn't actually kill him.
This is like when you see that bullet with like the hole in it, and it was like some Confederate guy had like a
Or like a cop that gets shot and his badge saves him.
Yeah.
Just happened to shoot him right in the little area on his breast that he had all of his shit. Wow. So now his speech has a bullet hole through the whole thing. Gives the whole speech, reading it page by page, and as he's finishing each page, drops
misses a word
every
page.
Drops each page, and you can see the bullet hole in each thing. And he even says while he's on stage, he says it like 1,000 times, but he says it while he's on stage, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether you fully understand that I've just been shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose. Bah! Everyone goes crazy.
Yeah.
And he says like a bunch of times, he's like, oh, please, quiet down. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been shot.
Oh, wow.
Like during the whole speech, finishes the speech, goes to the hospital. They look at it and they're like, yeah, dude, the bullet, I don't know if we can get it. We killed a couple other guys trying to get it out. And the science at the time was basically like a bullet that's not moving can't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So they're like, just leave it. Which, funny enough,
is that still the science? Feels like it's still the science.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to a guy on the pod, what's his name? Jimmy Sue.
Had one in him.
Big head. He got shot, and then the bullet eventually, after like years, made its way out.
Oh yeah, they like wiggle out.
Yeah, right. Your body like rejects it.
Weird.
Which again, I'm pretty sure had Garfield, had they not been like messing with him, like had they done nothing, he might have survived.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy? Like because of the infection that the doctors did, how they just did nothing, like they did with Teddy Roosevelt, he might have lived. So long story short, Schrank, the guy that shot him, who basically just says, I did it because I opposed the third term. Don't talk to me. I will not say anything until tomorrow. I'm tired.
Right,
Diagnosed as schizophrenic, and he was afraid he was going to start a dictatorship. McKinley told him to kill him. And he's found not guilty.
Oh, wow.
On terms of insanity.
Yep.
Sent to a mental hospital, died 29 years later. What's crazy about this is like, obviously, you know, Trump has this attempt, and his polling numbers seem up, and like the whole country is like fired up right now.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt didn't win this re-election. He didn't win the third term. Woodrow Wilson ended up beating Teddy and Taft. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they were just like, hey, dude, you don't get 3 of these.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. People were just like, yeah, I don't know the exact reason why they thought Wilson was better, but that was it. And then we got another attempt.
Well, he wasn't killed. Like the guy, that's wild. He was found not guilty by insanity.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Because the other guys were all crazy also.
Yeah.
But
weird.
They found him not guilty. Now, there's one more attempt before we get to JFK.
Okay.
FDR. This might be my favorite one of the whole thing.
Okay.
This one is fascinating. So, FDR gets an assassination attempt by this guy, Giuseppe Zangara. He's like an Italian immigrant. He comes to America, doesn't speak any English at all.
Yeah. Is that Italian?
Zangara.
Nice,
what is Zangara?
I don't know.
Comes to America. He doesn't really speak any English. He's like a bricklayer. He's like barely literate.
Yeah.
He's 5 foot, maybe like 4'9".
Short king.
He's just a short king. He's doing his best. He's just kind of along for the ride. February 15th, 1933, Miami, Florida. Basically, this guy.
Oh, nice.
This is, again,
we get one.
Yeah, Florida.
Nice.
Kind of cool, right?
All right, cool.
This is just the official story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conspiracy around this.
Nice.
So I'll give you the way it actually the way that's the narrative is set. Giuseppe Zangara, an anarchist, had a deep-seated hatred for political leaders, and he blamed his personal suffering as a bricklayer on the economic hardships of the Great Depression. During a speech by Roosevelt at Bayfront Park, Zangara fired several shots but missed Roosevelt, and instead wounded 5 others, including the Chicago mayor Anton Cermak, who later died from his injuries.
So he gets one body.
One body.
Wow.
Now, as the legend goes, that might have been the only body he actually wanted to get. So, this is where it gets a little wild, okay? Basically, this guy Zangara, okay? It's never been concluded exactly who his target was. He never really said. He just said, I hate the government. Most people assume that he was shooting at the president-elect, FDR. Another theory is that he may have been attempting to take down the mayor of Chicago, Cermak, at the behest of Al Capone and this guy Frank Nitti of the Chicago outfit of the mob in Chicago.
Wow.
Crazy. So this is kind of how the story goes and why some people think that the conspiracy has some merit.
Yeah.
So this tiny guy stands up and he shoots at the scene. I think they find 7 bullets. But the thing is, his gun only holds 6, and he only fired 5.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a weird situation. It's what's going on? And apparently this guy, Zangara, served 16 years in the Italian army and was an expert marksman.
Oh, wow.
Again, as the legend has it. Again, this is not confirmed. This is conspiratorial. I'm telling it to you as folklore. Here's what the legend is, okay? This guy, Zangara, was working in Miami. And he basically was looking for money. He's just not a sharp guy. Yeah. He can't make any money. He's addicted to gambling. And as a result of being addicted to gambling, he gets involved with mob guys. The mob guys see him, and he's low on cash. He's got some debts. And all of a sudden, this guy comes to him and says, hey, how about you run some drugs up north?
Yeah.
So he starts kind of moving product for the mob. And he gets paid for the drugs that then he has to deliver, obviously, to the mob.
Yep.
What do you think this guy does? Doesn't give the money to the mob.
Oh, interesting.
And then gambles it all away.
Nice.
And so then the mob catches up with him.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, where's our money? And he goes, me no have no money. I don't have it. I don't know where the money went. And they go, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
So now you have a couple options. Either we kill you or we kill you.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys, one of the captains, kind of grabs him on the shoulder and goes, hey.
We have that one job that needs to get done.
Isn't the mayor of Chicago that's fucking up our whole life gonna be in Miami in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he is. And he goes, why don't we have this guy kill him? So they tell Zangara, hey, either we kill you or you have to kill Cermak, the mayor of Chicago, and you can plead insanity. Florida has really lax insanity laws, especially at the time. You can just maybe run away.
Yeah.
You can try to get out of it. You can try to beat the case. You have options.
Yeah.
So you either get killed or you do your best to, make it out. Yeah. And if you don't kill this guy, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. So at the event, basically, FDR and Cermak are giving a speech impromptu out of the back of a car, basically. And Roosevelt talks for 15 minutes. Zangara just sits there the whole time, doesn't pull the trigger once. He's just chilling. And he's just sitting there doing nothing. And then as soon as Anton Cermak actually walks towards FDR at the end of his speech, that's when he shoots.
Interesting.
So he shoots all these bullets, apparently hits Cermak right where it's fatal, kills him.
Okay.
And then the mob has other people in the crowd. And they're like, hey, we're going to wait till Zangara actually takes the shot. And then once he takes the shot, we're going to kill Zangara. They apparently shoot at Zangara and miss.
Wild.
And then the mobsters that shoot at him, and their cover is going to basically be like, hey, we kill him and run away. Yeah. Or if they catch us, we'll be like, yeah, we were pissed off and we wanted to get our get back because this guy tried to kill the president. Yeah. And it's a perfect cover because it's right next to the president-elect, FDR.
Yeah, law-abiding citizen.
Right. Yeah. So he basically shoots at the president, misses, hits the mayor of Chicago. He ends up, he gets charged for attempted murder because he didn't die right away. The mayor of Chicago, like eventually, kind of the same story, gets infection and dies much later. And then...
does he get FDR at all?
Nope.
Wow.
Doesn't get touched.
Wow.
And then Zingara basically goes to trial. He gets sentenced. He's like a goofball the whole time. Like, again, speaks no English, doesn't really cooperate with anyone. And there's disputed... He gets given the electric chair. And his last words are disputed. Either he said, like, Viva Italia, like, Viva the Mafia.
Yeah.
Either he says that, or he says, Viva Italia, goodbye poor people everywhere. And then says, push the button, go ahead, push the button. Go for it. Push the button. And then he's just like, he doesn't give a shit, basically. He's just like, I'm not afraid of the chair. You guys are whatever. Like, kill me if you want. And he never really confirms why he tried to shoot at FDR or why he wanted to shoot at Cermak. It never really comes up. But apparently he does have like tacit connections to the mob. Wild. Pretty crazy. Now, from this,
that's a cool one.
A weird thing happens. He gets put in the death cell to get electrocuted. Yeah. But someone else is already in the death cell, and there's like a line of people that have to be executed at the time. Yeah. And so that's basically the invention of death row. It becomes like a waiting room and like a waiting period. It takes him like 3 or 4 weeks to actually get electrocuted after getting sentenced. So the jury like deliberates like pretty quickly, and they're like, yeah, this guy's definitely crazy. We got to kill him.
Wow.
Guess the electric chair. That's it.
That's cool. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, FDR hardly gets shot at, it sounds like.
All these guys probably got crazy assassination attempts, but this is like the most like notable one. Like a bullet like whizzed past him and like hit the other guy. Yeah. Again, conspiracy. Who knows? Speaking of conspiracy theories, November 22nd, a day in Dallas, 1963. This assassination, again, the last of the presidents to be assassinated, could have like a whole episode in its own right.
Yeah.
Maybe people want that. If you want to hear a whole thing where I explain JFK's assassination to my dumbest friend, let me know. Write in the comments. Everyone knows kind of the basics, okay? Yeah. Lee Harvey Oswald goes up in the book depository. He takes 3 shots, shoots JFK, hits him twice, hits Connolly, the governor of Texas, in the leg, or actually more than just the leg. And that's basically it. Lee Harvey Oswald.
Bullet, the whole thing.
All that shit.
Yeah.
He's a former Marine, goes to the Soviet Union, comes back to the United States. He's motivated by Marxist beliefs and fires 3 shots from the book depository to kill Kennedy. He's captured later that day and then killed by Jack Ruby 2 days later.
Yep.
That's the story, right?
Yep.
It's pretty wild. So he goes into the book depository where he's employed. He has this big package, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm, just bringing some curtain rods. And they're like, okay. Takes him upstairs and basically like lines up his shot from the book depository. The president's like sort of motorcade is like publicized, so people kind of know where he's going more or less.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear that he's going to cross right in front of the book depository where he's working. So within a second of each other, Governor Connolly and Mr. Kennedy, or Mrs. Kennedy, turn abruptly from their left to their right. Connolly, an experienced hunter, immediately knows that it's a rifle and turns his head and gets shot basically in the back, exiting the front of him, into his arm, breaking his wrist, and then into his leg where the bullet stayed. He testified that he could not see Kennedy, so he started to turn forward again, and that's when Kennedy was basically struck in the head.
Yeah.
And then he shouted, like, my God, they're going to kill us all. The single bullet theory is like a whole big conspiracy with this whole thing where basically the government needs there to only be 3 bullets. Mm-hmm. When they go upstairs to Lee Harvey's window, they see 3 bullet casings just on the ground. And they're like, 3 bullets were fired. Yeah. So one of the bullets, again, went through Kennedy's back, exited basically like his neck. Like he's kind of hunched over, goes through his back, exits his neck, goes into Connolly's back, exit his chest.
Yeah. Hits his arm.
Stays in there.
Yeah.
A third bullet misses.
Got it.
So I think that's the order. I think first, or maybe it's first bullet misses, second bullet hits him and then hits Connolly and like goes through like 8 people.
Yeah.
And you can still see that bullet to this day. They have it in museums.
Whoa.
And it's completely fine.
Huh.
There's no damage to it. After going through all these people breaking his wrist and his like that, it's fine.
Huh.
And then finally the bullet that hits him in the head. Yeah. That is like the headshot that everyone's seen. And that is basically like, the single bullet, the single bullet theory, but a lot of people call it the magic bullet theory because there's no way that shit fucking was the only shots that went in. Kennedy basically dies, like in the car, they take him over to the hospital. He's like barely breathing, but they know it's fatal.
Yeah. Instantaneously almost.
Oswald immediately after just like walks out. He just like leaves, he like just bounces, leaves the gun there. at 1:12, he basically is confronted by an officer in Dallas, like in a nearby neighborhood, who recognizes him from a description. Apparently, they have a description of like a guy in a window.
Yeah.
So the cop is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then Lee Harvey Oswald shoots him and kills him.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that actually.
Really.
That like he killed JFK and then also happened to kill a cop the same day. And then he starts running, and then after killing the cop, he kind of gets like reprimanded and gets arrested. And meanwhile, JFK's body is like taken from the motorcade, driven straight to the hospital. They go to the hospital, and they're having like this whole like fight about what to do with his body. They're like, do we do the autopsy here? And the Texas coroner's like, I'm doing the autopsy.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to treat him. I'm doing the autopsy. I'm doing everything. And then the government is basically like, no, we're taking him to
Walter Reed or something.
Lovegood.
Okay, got it.
Aircraft carrier, I guess.
Got it.
Like apparently JFK was in the Navy. He was like a Navy captain.
Yeah.
So Jackie was like, I wanted to be
Got it.
amongst the Navy. So they're like fighting, and they get in a fist fight in the hospital.
Wild.
And then they sent his body on Air Force One, transfer it over to the actual like carrier.
Wow.
So apparently, according to the physicians, they rushed it. They do like an incomplete autopsy. Again, the autopsy is insane. You could do a whole episode just on the autopsy. 3 years after the autopsy, Kennedy's brain, which was removed for analysis, is missing.
Whoa.
To this day, no one knows where his brain is. It's just gone.
Where do you think it is?
I think it shows that, there's like the trajectory makes no sense.
Yeah. It's at a pawn shop or something crazy.
It's not, Rick from Pawn Stars has it. Oh, 1,000,000%. Best I could do is $25. So basically they do the autopsy. There's like all these problems with the autopsy. Some people are even saying that like the people that did the autopsy, like this guy Humes, only had taken a single course on forensic pathology. Only a single course. So he's doing the autopsy, and he says, quote, "It's like sending a 7-year-old boy who has taken 3 lessons with the violin to the New York Philharmonic and expecting him to do a perfect Tchaikovsky symphony."
Wow. So me and this guy were one class apart from each other.
Basically, you could have done the autopsy.
Right.
And there's like so much weird shit. Like they find a bullet in the car and they like put it on the stretcher and they're like, "Oh, there's the 3rd bullet."
Yeah.
And it's like perfectly, it's like, it's perfectly intact. And it's like, oh, that's the bullet that everyone sees. It's like, oh, this is the one that must have fallen out of his back or something.
This was like the second conspiracy I got into.
Oh,
like
this
watched YouTube
this is the
videos
most
and like
publicly believed conspiracy.
Yeah, I would bet so.
No one really believes the official story.
Yeah, I would bet this is top dog.
It's crazy. So Oswald eventually gets like taken to prison. He's in there. He ends up giving a testimony to the press. They like wheel him out in front of the media and they're like, "Mr. Oswald, why'd you do it?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I didn't do it. I'm a patsy. I didn't do anything." Like he's like, "I didn't da da da." And he actually says like, "I didn't kill a man," which is obviously not true because it's like pretty clear that he killed the police officer. So then 2 days later, basically like LBJ gets sworn in and he says to the people in Dallas, like, "Make sure Oswald's alive. We're going to do a trial, a full trial, show all the evidence and convict him once and for all and show people what really happened." And then as he's in the basement of the Dallas police headquarters, a nightclub owner, Jack Ruby, comes up, shoots him. You can see pictures of it the moment that he shoots him. It's not like on live television that Lee Harvey Oswald gets shot and killed. Again, Lee Harvey Oswald saying the whole time, "I'm innocent." Jack Ruby then gets arrested. This is the craziest part. So Ruby says, "I did it because I wanted to spare Mrs. Kennedy the discomfiture of coming back to trial." Some people speculate that, like, again, there's so much speculation. Some people think that he did it because he had like a love affair with Kennedy and that he was gay and that he wanted to avenge like his gay, like, pararomantic death. That it's like there's so many conspiracies. So basically he shoots him. Ruby then gets sentenced to prison.
Yep.
And then here's where it gets even crazier. Ruby's mental condition, again, he's like now working in nightclubs. Apparently he's like working with the mob. Like in the time, if you're working in nightclubs, like you're probably mobbed up.
Yeah.
And he's seen by this guy, Dr. West.
Okay.
Dr. West is like seeing him frequently and basically says, "Oh, he's schizophrenic."
Yeah.
And Jack Ruby gets exonerated of his killing of Lee Harvey Oswald and is facing a second trial to get out of prison.
Wow.
And never sees the second trial because he ends up dying of like complications and medical issues while being fully schizophrenic and never able to testify or talk about what happened.
Huh.
Dr. West infamously, and this is on the record, worked with the experimental program known as MK Ultra.
Nice.
The mind control program done by the CIA.
Yeah.
Dr. West was a part of it. And he's also the guy going to see Jack Ruby.
Wow.
It's just like, what is going on?
It makes sense. I mean, this is where like I push back into weird conspiracies. I'm like, yeah, if there's like a doctor who's a preeminent doctor in the 60s, he also probably touched.
In Dallas, I'm assuming Jack Ruby's in Dallas. It just seems so crazy. I'm like, what are the odds that like the doctor that did MK Ultra is also in, like, maybe, like, it's not crazy, but it is like, it's a little weird.
It is weird for sure.
So then they do a big investigation. They do like a paraffin test to like see if there's like any explosive material like on Lee Harvey Oswald. They find it on his hands, but not on his cheek, where he would have held the weapon up and you would have gotten it. And they were like, this thing is bullshit. Just throw it out. They end up like not including it. The Warren Commission is then requested by LBJ. It's called that because the Justice Earl Warren is at the head of it. Yeah. A part of the Warren Commission is this guy named Allen Dulles. Yep. Allen Dulles infamously basically starts what we know as the CIA. Yep. He is ousted out of the CIA. His legacy is tarnished by JFK. Wow. Because JFK was basically against what the CIA's whole operation was around the world, in Cuba, basically like, you know, usurping governments in Iran and things like that. He's not really into it. So he gets rid of Allen Dulles, specifically after the Bay of Pigs incident in Cuba. And he's like, yo, you're embarrassing us. Yeah. This is like failed invasion. Like, we look goofy. Like, get out of here. Allen Dulles is pissed, hates JFK. Yeah. And now he's in charge of the commission. Not in charge, but he's a part of the commission that's in charge of seeing who killed the president. So basically immediately, like, Dulles, former CIA guy, is in charge of the Warren Commission. Another person that's a part of it, J. Edgar Hoover, the guy that started the FBI. Within 24 hours, he's on the phone with Lyndon B. Johnson, the new president, saying, oh, it was, lone gunman, only him, only Lee Harvey Oswald, 3 bullets, that's what it is. Within 24 hours, no investigation. Yeah. But he's just like, we have our guy, we have it, case closed, it's done. And they're like sticking to this story. They're like so vehemently holding on to this. Yeah. And actually, Johnny Harris did like an excellent episode talking about like why people believe in these conspiracies. It's great. You should check that out. It's awesome. So the whole thing is just crazy. Like, if you look at the Zapruder film, like, of course, this is his head like jerks back even though he was shot from the front. Yep. And people are like, oh, it was a muscular reaction to getting shot. Your brain basically like goes into seizure mode, like you go back. Or other people were like, oh, is the propulsion of brain matter out of the front of his head that caused his head to go back. It's like, all right, sure, okay. So the United States House Select Committee of Assassins does another investigation after the Warren Committee basically says it's a lone gunman with 3 bullets. And they look into it, and they're basically like, it's likely a conspiracy. Everyone involved, even people on the Warren Commission, were like, yeah, I don't believe it. Connolly, the guy that got shot in the leg, that was there in the car with JFK, was like, yeah, I don't really believe it. What? No one believes it was a lone gunman. Yeah. No one necessarily knows who. I mean, a lot of people would have benefited from Lincoln dying, so now there's a million conspiracies. Kennedy. A lot of people would benefit from Lincoln dying also.
That's true.
But from Kennedy dying, like, there's all these people. Obviously, like, the mob, people blame. The CIA, because he was against them. Castro, people blame. The Soviets were in the middle of the Cold War. Like, there's all these people. Some people think LBJ did it. Like, there's a litany of potential shooters.
Jackie O.
Why?
He cheated on her a lot.
There you go. Right? So it's like, everyone has a reason. Yeah. And because they withheld the information, because they wanted to basically like preserve calmness within the nation. They're like, hey, let's just keep everyone calm. It was one shooter. And the other issue is that if they said like, oh, Castro did it. Yeah. Why did Castro do it? Oh, well, we're trying to kill Castro. That information was not public. Yeah. So basically they couldn't really say it was some other type of thing because then it would basically show their hand of what America was doing at the time. Yeah. So they're like, we don't want to show what we're doing with the CIA, which is fucked up. And on top of that, we don't want to like make people concerned that like, oh, our president can get killed by the mob or whatever. Let's just say it was a crazy guy. He was a Marxist. He loved communism. He loved Soviet Union. He worked over there, which a lot of people say he was like a CIA spy or like an asset when he went to the Soviet Union. And so people are like, let's just say it's this guy, 3 bullets. He got a lucky shot and that's it. Case closed. They withheld all the documents for years. And thus all the conspiracies abounded. The 1991 film JFK is obviously about this. And then they held all the documents until like 2017. And then they held them even more for public release until 2022. And a bunch of shit is redacted. There's like, you don't really get to know anything.
It's like blacked out paper.
And it all basically comes to the same conclusion. Like, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, lone gunman. Now, my personal opinion, I don't know really what happened. I don't know who killed him. I don't know why someone would try to kill him. I think Lee Harvey Oswald was definitely involved. I think he definitely was a part of it. Like, if a cop came to question me, I wouldn't just kill the cop. Yeah. Unless I did some foul shit. Yeah. But I don't think he was alone. That just seems crazy.
After this Trump thing of just like levels of incompetency, I do run into the issue where I'm like, there's almost a perfect level of incompetency on part of the government or the people that are protecting, and then also just like sort of unprepared dereliction, unpredictability, where I'm like, it does sometimes work. Now, I don't know. I've obviously been down like the JFK rabbit hole and like the Zapruder film, and like as a younger, I was in high school, so I don't remember all the details. But at the time, I'm sure I felt different. But after seeing, from what I understand about this Trump one, where it's just like this kid was like walking around like carrying a whatever, in a weird way, I'm like, there is almost a level of like, and once again, I just don't know the exact answer, but like this idea of like, if you walk around sort of look like you know what you're doing, like enough people are confused on who's in control or command, like
yeah, shit happens for sure.
Yeah, in a weird way, like maybe the JFK one was simpler than we want it to be.
It's possible. Again, I'm not opposed to the idea. Like, I haven't seen any evidence to confirm that he wasn't alone, but just like the single bullet thing,
of course.
The fact that the autopsy was botched, like
I
the
want to
Warren
believe
Commission.
it's more of a conspiracy, but there is this weird idea that I'm like, sometimes it's weirdly simpler than we think.
Yeah, it's possible. Again, I'm not completely against you. It just seems it's very clear that they covered some things up. Apparently, there was one guy even in like that was a part of the Warren Commission, I think, that was like, yeah, they told me to destroy files.
Wild.
So like there was a very clear cover up.
Yeah.
Why there was a cover up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
But it's like if they had just basically come out, and this is what Johnny Harris says, like if they just came out in the 60s with all the information, and they were just upfront about it, they would have preserved Americans' trust in institutions.
Yeah.
And they would have been like, okay, this is what happened. Like maybe Lee Harvey Oswald shot more shots. Maybe there was maybe Lee Harvey Oswald had another Marxist crazy guy that was on the grassy knoll that also shot.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, let's double up our odds. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Like, it's no one, I don't think anyone has any idea.
Yeah.
But the fact that there was a government cover up is like a huge mistake. And they got to just be like, yeah, this is what the info is.
Yeah.
You just look goofy.
I wonder if we'll ever, I don't know, ever get like, not the answer, but like more information on that one.
Hopefully. I mean, have you seen all of the comparisons with Lincoln and Kennedy?
Yeah, this is the one where it's like Ford Theater.
This is like the very first like chain mail that went around.
Dude, this is...
It's like in the 90s this went around.
Yeah, I remember this.
Right? This is like the first like meme.
Ford Theater.
Lincoln and Kennedy both have 7 letters. Both presidents were elected to Congress in 46 and later to presidency in 60.
Yeah.
Both assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, were born in 39 and were both known by their 3 names comprised of 15 letters.
Yeah.
And which, again, when we're saying 46, we mean 1846 and 1946. Booth ran from a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Mm-hmm. The assassins were both Southerners. Both of President's successors were Democrats named Johnson, with a 6-letter first name, born in 08. Both Lincoln and Kennedy were particularly concerned with civil rights and made their views strongly known. Both presidents were shot in the head on a Friday in the presence of their wives. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy who told him not to go to Ford's Theater. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln, and she warned him not to go into Dallas. Both Oswald and Booth were killed before they could be put on trial. And then, did I say the Ford and the Lincoln one?
Yeah, I think so.
So, Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
And Lincoln was shot in a Ford.
I remember where I was when I first read this. I explained to my dad. I was in my house, and we had a e-machine computer at the time. And I, like, distinctly remember reading this on, like, a website that had, like, Comic Sans as the font and definitely made your cursor look different. Yep. And I remember reading it and, like, explaining to my dad, like, dude, you gotta see this. That's so funny.
It was, like, the first, like, chain letter.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. We should do a whole episode on JFK, probably.
Yeah.
And now, again, we're not talking about all of them, but, because there's too many to really go through. But, like, Gerald Ford was the only guy to be attempted to be assassinated by chicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2 girls.
Huh.
Separate times. One girl did it because she was, like, a communist and was, like, politically motivated. The other one did it because she was a part of the Manson family.
Oh, wow.
And they both, like, shot at him. One of them, like, had the gun but no bullets in it. It was like, I didn't really want to do it. I just wanted to scare him.
Wow.
But they basically go away. Jimmy Carter had one. A bunch of people. George Bush.
Yeah, the guy threw the shoes at him.
George Bush had a crazy one.
Oh, H.W.
W. Yeah.
HW
No,
or
not
W?
HW. W.
Okay. Yeah, the shoe guy.
Well, that's not assassination.
That's assassination.
No, that's
dude.
just disrespect for Muslims.
No,
It's like, I throw my shoe at you.
That's the guy.
So
That's my favorite one.
this one, George W. is in Georgia, the country, not the state.
Okay.
Giving a speech. A guy pulls a grenade, chucks it.
Wow.
It lands like 50 feet away from him and basically lands like on Laura Bush's lap.
Wow.
And the grenade doesn't detonate
Wow.
because it's wrapped in a red bandana.
Oh, wow.
She basically like sees it, and then like a guard comes over and like grabs it and then just walks away.
Wow.
But it was that close from a grenade going off and just like maybe killing the president.
That's crazy.
There's a bunch of other ones that are just like that.
The Obama one's interesting, where the guy shoots the White House.
Yep.
Obama's out of town. They're all out of town except for like the grandmother and the eldest daughter or the youngest daughter. I don't remember. But like this guy drives all the way across the fucking country, takes a gun, shoots the White House, and then the Secret Service sort of like fumbles the whole process and is like, I think it was a car backfiring. Like, don't worry about it. A few days later, they see like chips on like a window and like also in the concrete of the White House. They find some bullets and they find out. And the guy gets caught in like the dumbest way. He's like driving across state lines, leaves the gun with his fingerprints, drives, like gets in a car accident like a state away, gets pulled over, has his like state ID on him. So it's like it's just a fumble on both parts. But
Crazy.
yeah, it's just fascinating. Obama wasn't there, so it's not like one of the noteworthy ones.
Obama has like 8. If you go on Wikipedia, you can see like all of them. There's like
Wow.
a ton. Like all the presidents have it. It's like such a high risk job. It's like crazy. Bill Clinton has a bunch.
Really?
It's just insane. Like Nixon has a bunch. It's like it's just crazy. Genuinely, it's like insane that anyone would want to do this job. Jimmy Carter has a couple. But let's finish talking about our boy Reagan.
Yeah.
March 30th, 1981.
Okay.
This is the last time a president was shot outside of, a couple weeks ago. This was John Hinckley Jr. Attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan.
A little bit. I like this guy.
You like him?
Yeah.
He makes music now.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll get into him. Basically, March 30th, 81, President of the United States Ronald Reagan was shot by John Hinckley as he was returning to his limousine after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton. Yeah, I don't want to put it on his dad. That's a good point.
Yeah, don't put
it
it on
is
his
John
dad.
Hinckley Jr. His dad probably did a great job. So, this assassination attempt happens on March 30th. On March 21st, new president Ronald Reagan, who just took office like a couple months before, goes to the Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. What do we know about the Ford's Theater?
That's where Lincoln was.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And they stand there and he looks on the stage. He stands on the stage and he looks up at the president box and he says that he felt a curious sensation and apparently told his aides, I felt that even with all the Secret Service protection we now had, it was probably still possible for someone who had enough determination to get close enough to the president and shoot him.
Wow.
A couple weeks go by and exactly that happens. John Hinckley Jr. shows up with a revolver and shoots Reagan a bunch of times. He fires off a bunch of shots. One of them goes into like the side of his, arm, under his left underarm, breaking a rib, puncturing a lung, serious internal bleeding. He's close to death on arrival at the hospital, but stabilized in the emergency room. Reagan's like walking into the hospital, waving at onlookers. One of his aides calls in to get like a stretcher for him to like go in on.
Yeah.
And there's no stretcher. They don't even get one ready. So he's like waving at everyone. They lay him down on the table to like try to get the bullet out and like do surgery on him. And they're cutting his suit. And he goes, wait, gentlemen, this is $1,000 suit.
Yeah. Laura Piano, what are we doing?
You're going to cut my suit? And they're like, yeah, we have to cut it. He's like, no, I'll take it off. They're like, sir, you just got shot. You're coughing up blood. He's like, no, I just split my lip. And they're like, no, we're going to take your suit off. They cut his suit off. And apparently they actually use that as like press. Mm-hmm. So like his internal team's like, the president's doing fine. He was more concerned about his suit than he was his body.
Smart.
And like the country's like, whew.
Ah, thank God.
Right? So he's in there. And apparently he's just like being funny. Nancy pulls up. And she's like, honey, what happened? And he goes, forgot to duck.
Should have seen the other guy.
Yeah, literally. He's like, I should have ducked. Whoops.
Yeah.
Why? He's bleeding out. He's like close to death.
Yeah.
Like,
Actor.
had he not gone straight to the hospital, like had they waited for the ambulance, like someone just put him in a car and drove him. Had they waited for an ambulance, he would have died. He was like an hour away from death. In the operating room, he has oxygen mask on, getting surgery, about to go under. Pulls off the oxygen mask, goes, I hope you're all Republicans. The doctor, Giordano, he's a Democrat, replies, Mr. President, today, we're all Republicans. And he goes, puts his mask back on.
Nice.
Gets surgery.
Counts backwards from 10 and
Literally,
blacks out.
just blacks out. He wakes up. He's feeling amazing. So, unfortunately, a couple people, Secret Service agent, White House press secretary, and a police officer were all wounded.
Yeah, one of them's like...
All survived. James Brady was said to have died, but actually he just had brain damage, is now permanently disabled, which is better than dying. And yeah, that's basically the story. Reagan goes on to like give speeches and finishes out his presidency. The famous line, the video where he's giving a speech and the balloon pops and goes, "Miss me."
Miss me.
Keeps going. I mean, just like baller shit. I mean, that's just like cool.
The Hinckley stuff is wild because Hinckley was nuts.
He was crazy.
And he was trying to impress
Jodie Foster.
Yeah, Jodie Foster after watching like Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver. He had what's known as erotomania. He had a fascination with Jodie Foster, which, by the way, she was like 15 in the movie. She's young.
Okay.
At the time of the shooting, I think she was like 17 or 18, and he's just like fascinated by her.
So he also was a pedophile.
Also that.
2 things.
Yeah.
3 things, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Which one's the worst thing? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that.
At least 15 times did John Hinckley Jr. watch Taxi Driver, apparently identifying strongly with the protagonist. The story,
which is a crazy movie. Ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude. I mean, yeah, he's crazy.
He basically tries to save
nuts
a child prostitute, and towards the end of the film, the main character attempts to assassinate a U.S. senator running for president.
Yeah.
And so he's like, that's how I'm going to impress Jodie Foster.
Yeah. He also doesn't go to jail. This is weirdly the one I think I'm going to know the most about. He doesn't go to jail.
What do you mean?
Pleads insanity. Goes to like a insane house for X amount of time and then gets out.
Yeah, he gets out. But I think he does go to prison.
Maybe. I would look into that. But regardless, yeah, he pleads insanity, maybe goes to jail, maybe doesn't, whatever. Gets out and does interviews after.
Yeah, he does a couple interviews, which I actually have a story about this.
And he's like
a personal story.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll tell you in a second. But basically, he's obsessed with Jodie Foster. He's like enrolling at a Yale University course because he heard that she went there. Like he tried to do like a community writing course at Yale.
I applied to Brown University because Emma Watson was going there. I just want to make that clear. We have the same problem.
You and Hinckley.
Yeah.
Basically identical. You guys are twins, actually.
Yeah, I was going to fall in love with, or Emma Watson was going to fall in love with me at Brown University.
When she saw you writing.
Yeah.
When she saw like
me being smart as hell in
brilliant
class.
eloquence.
Yeah. How do you like them apples type shit?
Yeah. So basically, she got in contact with him, or he got in contact with her, rather, and she was like, I'm not interested. Please stop talking to me. But he was like a confirmed stalker.
Yeah.
He demanded that she testify at his trial. So basically, he gets tackled, people beat the shit out of him, he goes to trial, and he's like, well, Jodie Foster has to testify. What's crazy is that an agreement is reached between Foster and Hinckley's lawyers that said that she would do so in a closed session. Only herself, the judge, the lawyers, and Hinckley was actually present.
Wow.
And then the videotape session would then be introduced as evidence into his trial.
It just goes to show that,
He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
But not exactly, because during the testimony, Foster did not look or acknowledge Hinckley once. This made him so angry that he threw a pen at her and shouted threats before he was surrounded and removed from the room by marshals. He remained confined at St. Elizabeth's Hospital and then moved to a D.C. psychiatric facility. And then in 2015, federal prosecutors announced that he would be not charged in Brady's death because he didn't die. He was just disabled.
Yeah.
And then despite the medical examiner's classification of his death as a homicide. So technically he was classified as dead and then recovered. And so he didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
So then he was released from the institutional psychiatric care on September 10th, 2016. And then now makes music.
Yeah.
He's on Facebook. And I'm pretty sure, I need to actually confirm this, he just tweeted that he condemns political violence.
Oh, good.
Which, for the record, he didn't do any political violence.
Yeah.
He did, I don't know, like a romance violence.
Yeah. It's more Romeo and Juliet than it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
So it's not contradictory. Maybe he's like, whoa, I wouldn't kill him for his politics.
Yeah.
I love Reagan. I just love Jodie Foster more. You know what I mean? I was
trying to win a girl's heart over.
Yeah, I had to see about a girl.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Truly.
Yeah, it was a rock and a hard place. But what's interesting, and I think a parallel we can even draw now, is that Reagan's popularity, he was already pretty popular at the time, but his ratings surged.
Crazy.
70% the following months. And he also became extremely religious, it seems like.
Reagan.
Yeah. He was like raised Catholic and had like some connection to his faith. But he believes that God spared his life so he might fulfill a greater purpose, naturally, right?
Yeah.
Like you survive a shooting, like I'm going to be like, oh, God put me here for a reason. And although not Catholic necessarily, he had meetings with Mother Teresa, Cardinal Terence Cook, and even spoke with Pope John Paul II, also a shooting survivor, and reinforced his belief. So there you go.
Wow.
I kind of predict that in a way for Trump. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
he, like, sort of flirts with religion. And some people aren't really sure, like, is it real or is it sort of part of, like, his political aspirations?
Yeah, the standing with the Bible thing, you're like...
But I think we're going to see him over the next couple months being extremely religious.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And I think that it's going to be similar to Reagan. I think his ratings are going to surge. And I think a lot of, like, states that are kind of swing states will go in his favor because of this and, like, how cool he looked.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to get super religious and also, like, win over even more evangelicals than he already has.
That's a great take.
Just based off history.
It's a great take.
Because what about history? It doesn't repeat itself. But it sometimes rhymes.
Rhymes.
Yeah. It rhymes. And what rhymes with rhymes?
What was your personal story? Hinckley.
I reached out to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He can't do pods, or is he allowed?
He's allowed to do whatever he wants. It's a free man.
Well, sort of.
He didn't kill anybody.
He can do the YouTube video, the channel, but they can take it away from him.
Yeah, I guess.
Isn't that funny?
I don't know all the details of his parole or whatever he's on. Actually, I think he's off parole now. I think he's just a regular citizen.
There's something about the fact that, like, he has a YouTube channel and he's allowed to, like, attempt to profit. This is like the son of Sam laws or whatever. Regardless, you're not supposed to, like, make money off the things you do that were whatever. He's allowed to have a YouTube channel, but they do have the ability that if it, like, got too popular, if he started, like, spouting some crazy shit, they could pull it. But because he's just singing, like, crooner Elvis Presley songs,
And he also
like,
paints.
Yeah.
And I also think he's kind of like, according to what he said in some of the interviews that he's done, he's kind of regrets what he did. And he was like, yeah, I was crazy and I've, like, taken meds and I've gotten better. And I think he's, like, kind of repented a little. Yeah. So that's sort of like a gray area where it's like, what he did was terrible, but also, like,
he also was, like, clinically insane at the time. They also changed insanity laws after him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. They, like, a lot of people were pissed that he got away with, like, insanity, and they tightened that shit up pretty quick after.
Well, it seems like he's atoned for it seems. Yeah. And so I reached out to him. I was like, looking to do a pod? And he wrote back and he was like, what is the pod? And I was like, well, I'm in a tent talking to random people. And he was like, never said anything.
Oh, wow.
But maybe.
Hopefully he sees this.
Maybe he'll be in your chair.
I would be so excited.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got to tune in whenever that happens. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was every major presidential assassination and attempt in U.S. history explained in, I don't know, 2 hours or however long we went. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. Write a comment. I don't know. This content's a little experimental for what we normally do here. But please leave your feedback. I would love to know what you guys think. And thank you so much for doing this, brother.
Yeah. I think you should call it Tent Talks.
Oh, the Tent Talk.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Intense conversations.
Yeah, or Tent Talk and you steal the TED Talk sort of branding.
Yeah, I like that. That's probably better than mine. Fuck. We'll figure out a name. All right. Anyway, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.